The curious class beauty wants to celebrate her birthday during the college entrance exam. I'll make her cry while answering the questions. The class beauty has a babyish streak and loves being pampered by everyone. Just because she said she's never seen how intense the exam hall is, she wants to have her birthday party there. She even used her connections to have her cake hidden in the broadcast room. Planning to have the birthday song played during the English listening test, I blocked the doorway and wouldn't let anyone in. Not a single second of the English listening test can be disrupted. You're ruining the scores of hundreds of examinees. The pacifier fell from Berengrong's mouth, and she burst into tears. Baby just wanted a special birthday, so why is sister so mean? Baby doesn't like you anymore. Besides, listening isn't everything. Truly capable people won't be affected. You're so nervous. Are you feeling guilty yourself? Ji Linchuan also found me a buzzkill, saying I was jealous of her being spoiled, but the college entrance exam wasn't her birthday party. I unplugged the broadcast power, only to be pushed down the stairs by Rongrong, dying just before the exam bell rang. When I woke up again, I smiled. Since she wants to be special, then let her sit in the college entrance exam hall, answering the entire English paper to the sound of her own sobs. The English teacher tapped the podium with the mock listening test paper. Shen Tinglan, stop daydreaming. The listening test is about to start. My fingers are still trembling. In my past life, the dull thud of the back of my head hitting the concrete floor as I fell down the stairs was like a nail piercing my eardrum. Under the lectern, Rongrong, holding a pink pacifier, was lying on Ji Linchuan's arm, poking the back of his hand with the tip of a pen. Chuan, baby doesn't want to listen to the listening test. Ears hurt. Ji Linchuan coaxed her in a low voice. Be good, just 15 more days. Bear with it. No way, the listening test is playing so loud. Baby is scared. The whole class burst into laughter. Someone started teasing. Class beauty says she's scared, so let's turn it down a bit. The English teacher also smiled helplessly. Rongrong, no one's going to coddle you in the exam room. Rongrong immediately pouted, her eyes turning red in an instant. Teacher is so mean. Baby is about to fall apart. Ji Linchuan pushed the strawberry milk on the table toward me and looked up. Shen Tinglan, lower your volume, don't be so rigid. In the previous life, he said the same thing, saying I was rigid, saying I was jealous, saying that White Fluffy just wanted a little sense of ceremony. Later, my blood trickled down through the cracks in the stairs. He held White Fluffy, who was sobbing and choking, and shouted at the teacher who rushed over. She didn't mean it. Fluffy is terrified. I pressed the record button. The female voice from the listening exercise began, at a standard volume, clearly cutting through the snickers in the classroom. Berengrong spat the pacifier onto the table, covered her ears, and screamed, no, no, the baby's ears are going to be ruined. The English teacher frowned. Rongrong, sit properly. Ji Linchuan stood up, the chair legs scraping against the floor with a harsh sound. Shen Tinglan, didn't you hear that she's feeling unwell? The test papers rustled loudly as the fan blew them. All eyes turned sharply toward me. My chest felt like an old wound was tearing open, but I only stared at the countdown on the wall. The college entrance exam won't pause just because she's feeling unwell. As soon as the words were spoken, Rongrong suddenly hurled the strawberry milk at the podium. The carton burst open, pink liquid splashing onto the listening device, followed by a sharp crackle of electric current. The entire class fell silent instantly. The English teacher's expression changed. Rongrong shrank behind Ji Linchuan, crying in a babyish voice. Baby didn't mean to. It was sister who scared baby. That's why my hand slipped. Ji Linchuan pulled out a tissue to wipe her hands, his voice turning cold. Shen Tinglan, apologize. Pink milk dripped down the edge of the podium. The English teacher looked at the broken listening device, then turned to me. Tinglan, go borrow a backup device from the equipment room first. The words, backup phone, were like a key, clicking open the door to the previous life. On the day of the college entrance exam, cake slipped into the broadcast room from the stairwell next to the equipment room. From the hallway came the voice of the dean of students, who took the key to the third-floor equipment room. Rongrong stopped crying, revealing a silver key in her palm. The key glinted briefly before Ji Linchuan pressed it back into her hand. Director, the key is with me. He stood up, his expression calm and composed. I just picked it up for the broadcasting station. The discipline director, whose surname was Su, was particularly fond of Ji Linchuan's model student demeanor. Linchuan, hurry up and return it, before the college entrance exam. The equipment room and broadcasting station must be sealed off. No messing around. Berengrong sniffled, tears clinging to her eyelashes. Uncle Su, I just wanted to see what the broadcast room looks like. Director Sue's expression softened a bit. You, don't be so curious, with that one word, curiosity, the absurd birthday song from the previous life was gently brushed aside, nails dug into the palm. I stepped forward. Director Sue, why is the key to the broadcasting room in a student's hands? According to regulations, exam-related equipment should be managed by 2 people before the college entrance exam, with a record of borrowing and returning. Director Sue's smile froze. Shantinglan, you're just a student. Aren't you overstepping your bounds? Bai Rongrong hid behind Ji Linchuan, sobbing softly. Sister is being fierce again. Baby is scared. The classmates nearby began to whisper among themselves. What's wrong with Shantinglan lately? Isn't it just a mock listening test? No need to make such a big deal out of it. Ji Linchuan handed the keys to Director Sue and warned me in a low voice. Don't assume everyone is as utilitarian as you are. Bai Rongrong wanted to play a birthday song during the college entrance exam listening test for hundreds of people. That was naivety. I maintained order in the exam hall. That was pragmatism. The English teacher fetched a backup machine and barely managed to finish the lesson. As soon as the bell rang, Bai Rongrong was surrounded by a crowd. Someone handed her chocolate. Someone patted her head. Don't cry, baby. Shantinglan is just under too much pressure. Bai Rongrong put the pacifier back in her mouth and looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. Sister, do you not like the baby? Before I could speak, she said pitifully again, but the baby's birthday is also on the day of the college entrance exam. And the baby is already so miserable. Ji Linchuan immediately looked up. Birthday on the day of the college entrance exam. Barangrong nodded, her voice soft and sticky. On my 18th birthday, baby wants the whole world to remember. This sentence was exactly the same as in the previous life. The boys in the back row laughed and slapped the table. We've got to make it happen. Bai Rongrong's eyes lit up. The baby wants to hear the birthday song before the hearing test starts. Just a tiny bit. Someone lowered their voice. Before the hearing test starts, isn't there a sound check on the broadcast? Slipping in a song wouldn't be noticed by anyone. A chill of blood crept up from the soles of my feet. In my past life, I thought this idea was conceived on the spur of the moment on the day of the college entrance exam. It turns out the seed had been planted 15 days earlier. I took out my phone and was about to start recording when Ji Linchuan grabbed my wrist. What are you doing? The phone screen was frozen on the recording interface. Barangrong blinked, then suddenly shrieked. Sister is secretly filming baby. Baby doesn't want to be filmed by the bad sister. The classroom instantly erupted. Ji Linchuan snatched my phone and held it high. Shantinglan, delete it. I reached out to grab it. He dodged backward, and suddenly a fluffy white thing bumped into me. Her body slammed heavily into the corner of the table, scattering the exam papers from the drawer all over the floor. Bai Rongrong fell to the ground, stunned for a second, then burst into loud crying. Sister pushed the baby. Baby's bottom hurts. Ji Linchuan bent down to pick her up. Shantinglan, are you crazy? Director Sue, who was at the door, came back. He looked at the mess on the floor, his face turning pale. Shantinglan, come to my office. Ji Linchuan put my phone into his pocket and helped up Bai Rongrong. Director, I can testify. She took a photo first, then pushed someone. Bai Rongrong clutched the sleeve of his school uniform, looked up, and cried. Baby wants sister to apologize to baby. Kneel and apologize. The air conditioning in the office was broken. Director Sue slammed the disciplinary form onto the desk, causing trouble before the college entrance exam and disrupting the class's preparation. Do you know the consequences? I stared at the form. I didn't push her, nor did I secretly take photos. Where's your phone? Director Sue spread his hands. Take it out and show me. When Ji Linchuan handed over the phone, the recording interface was already gone. The recent files were completely empty. Bai Rongrong sat on the sofa, her knees covered by Ji Linchuan's school uniform jacket, holding a cup of hot water in her hands. Baby doesn't blame sister anymore. Her voice was still choked with tears. Sister was just too nervous. Baby can forgive sister, but baby got scared. So sister needs to say sorry. Director Sue nodded. Listen, how sensible she is. I looked at Ji Linchuan. You deleted the recording. Ji Linchuan frowned. Don't bite back. I was just preventing you from continuing to invade others' privacy. They discussed playing the birthday song before the college entrance exam listening test. Barangrong immediately shuddered. Baby didn't. Baby just said they wanted to listen to some songs, never mentioned the college entrance exam. Her tears fell quickly. Why does sister have to slander me? Just because my grades aren't good, do I deserve to be bullied by her? Director Sue's patience had completely run out. Shantinglan, you're in the top 10 of the school, and the teachers all think highly of you, but that doesn't mean you can bully your classmates. The disciplinary form on the desk was pushed in front of me. Write a self-criticism and read it during the flag-raising ceremony tomorrow. If there's a next time, your recommendation for outstanding graduate will be revoked. The recommendation for outstanding graduate is tied to the provincial special admission score reduction materials. In my past life, I was afraid it would affect my record, so I swallowed many grievances. Rongrong saw from my repeated concessions that I was easy to push around. I pushed the disciplinary form back. I want to check the surveillance footage. Director Sue was stunned. What? There's a camera at the front door of the classroom. It'll show who bumped into whom just now. Rongrong's face turned pale for half a second, but Ji Linchuan quickly spoke up. That camera is broken. The teacher mentioned it during last week's class meeting. Director Sue coughed. The third floor's wiring is under maintenance, so the surveillance is indeed unstable. Unstable, that word again. In the previous life, the stairwell surveillance was also unstable, and in the end, all that was left was Rongrong crying and saying that she had tripped on her own. Footsteps came from outside the door. Homeroom teacher Heng pushed the door open and walked in. Director, how did it come to this? Director Sue recounted the whole story, deliberately omitting the part about the key. Teacher Heng looked at me, exhaustion in his eyes. Tinglan, it's only 15 days left, don't make a fuss. My throat felt as if it were stuffed with cotton. Teacher, what if someone actually tampered with the college entrance exam broadcast? Teacher Heng was silent for 2 seconds. That's the exam affairs team's concern, not something you should be worrying about. Bye. Rongrong whispered. Teacher Heng, is the baby holding everyone back? How about the baby doesn't take the exam anymore? The baby will go home and not cause any trouble for big sister. Ji Linchuan immediately crouched down to comfort her. Don't talk nonsense. Director Sue was also anxious. Rongrong, the college entrance exam is coming soon. You can't say things out of anger. Everyone gathered around her. Just like in the previous life, as long as she cried, the rules had to make way. Teacher Heng pulled me to the end of the hallway and lowered his voice. Tinglan, Rongrong's mother is the head of the parent committee. Over the past 3 years, she has coordinated many things for the class. The teacher knows about your family situation. Your mother is in poor health. Don't cause trouble just to save face. From the playground downstairs came the sound of running drills and chants. I looked at Teacher Heng's hand gripping my arm. Teacher, I just want to take the college entrance exam. Like everyone else, she avoided my eyes. Write the self-criticism first. The office door suddenly opened. Rongrong poked her head out, a pacifier between her lips, and her eyes curved as she looked at me. Sister, the baby wants to hear you read the self-criticism. The next day at the flag-raising ceremony, the wind was strong. The self-criticism letter was shoved into my hand, with sentences personally revised by Director Sue. I should not have engaged in irrational behaviors such as secretly taking photos and pushing others out of jealousy over a classmate's popularity. Over 3,000 students stood on the playground, beneath the rostrum. Rongrong wore a fluffy puffy-sleeved school uniform, with a small strawberry hairpin clipped in her hair. Ji Linchuan stood beside her, shielding her from the wind. Director Sue's voice came over the loudspeaker. Next, Shen Tinglan from Class 1, Grade 12, will give a self-criticism. The paper flapped noisily in the wind. Teacher Heng stood at the side of the stage, his eyes almost pleading. I held the microphone and heard my own steady breathing. I am Shen Tinglan from Class 1, Senior 3. The playground fell silent. During yesterday's break, I had a dispute with classmate Rongrong. The cause of the argument was that someone suggested adding a birthday song to the college entrance exam listening broadcast. The audience erupted in murmurs. Director Sue spun around abruptly. Shen Tinglan, I continued. I believe that the college entrance exam broadcast is exam-related equipment and should not be occupied by any private activities. The microphone suddenly went dead. Behind the podium, the power cord had been unplugged. Director Sue rushed over to snatch the paper from my hand. Who told you to talk nonsense? The fluffy white figure below had already started crying. Baby didn't do it. Baby is being framed by big sister. Ji Linchuan supported her, looked up at me, his gaze as sharp as a knife. Shen Tinglan, you are too vicious. The murmurs on the playground rose in waves, one louder than the next. Has she lost her mind? Rongrong is usually delicate, but who would dare to sing during the college entrance exam? She's desperate for fame. Director Sue dragged me backstage, his grip so strong it felt like he was trying to crush my bones. Do you have any idea what you were just doing? I was reminding the school. You were spreading rumors. He pointed his finger at my nose. Bring your parents to school this afternoon. My stomach suddenly sank. My mom runs a small stall at the entrance of the vegetable market. She had surgery a couple of years ago and fears nothing more than a call from school. In my past life, after I died, she went to the school alone to demand an explanation, only to be labeled by Rongrong's mother as a mentally unstable extortionist family member. That pale face surfaced from my memory, and my chest tightened with pain. At 3 in the afternoon, my mother arrived, wearing a faded, washed-out shirt. Her forehead was covered in sweat, and she was still carrying the unsold tofu in her hand. Teacher, is Tinglan in trouble? Director Su sat behind the desk, his tone heavy with regret. The child has good grades, but there are psychological issues, jealousy toward classmates, spreading rumors about exam affairs, and disrupting order during the flag-raising ceremony. My mom panicked. Tinglan wouldn't do that. Barangrong's mother was also there. Sang Ningyue, the head of the parent committee, with curly hair and pearl earrings, spoke at a measured pace. Mother Shen, I understand that children from humble families face great pressure, but they can't take that pressure out on my daughter. She pushed a stack of photos over. In the photos, Rongrong was sitting on the ground crying, with Ji Linchuan supporting her. The angle was tricky, only showing my hand reaching out to grab the phone. Sang Ningyue sighed. Rongrong came home and had nightmares all night, constantly calling out in her sleep, "Sister, don't push the baby." My mom looked at the photo, her hands starting to tremble. Tinglan, tell mom, what exactly is going on? Rongrong leaned against Sang Ningyue's arms, sobbing in fits and starts. Auntie, the baby doesn't hurt anymore. The baby can forgive big sister. Sang Ningyue patted her head and looked up at me, but an apology must be sincere. Classmate Shen, you will bow to Rongrong in front of the whole class and write a letter of guarantee that you will never approach her again. Director Su nodded. This is the safest way to handle it. My mom's eyes were red with anxiety, yet she still stood in front of me. How about we check the surveillance footage first? Director Su's face darkened. Are the parents going to make a scene too? Sang Ningyue smiled. The surveillance cameras were broken. This kid already caused a fuss yesterday. Aunt Shen, your family has it hard enough. Don't blow a small matter out of proportion and affect the qualification review for the college entrance exam registration. To them, my life is also a small matter. Barangrong lifted her head from her mother's embrace, her eyes glistening with tears, yet a faint smile curled at the corners of her lips. Sister, baby wants a hug to apologize. She opened her arms. If you hug baby, baby won't cry anymore. Everyone in the office is waiting for me to bow. My mother grabbed my hand, her palm drenched in sweat. Tinglan, take the college entrance exam first. These 4 words weigh heavier than any scolding. I looked down at the fluffy white arms reaching out. She smelled of a cloying, sweet milky scent, like a piece of candy covered in dust. Ji Linchuan stood nearby, urging coldly, don't make Auntie's job difficult. The taste of blood rolled in my throat. I bent over. Little Fluffy immediately wrapped her arms around my neck, leaned close to my ear, and said in a voice only I could hear, Sister, baby just loves it when you're angry but can't do anything about it. My back instantly stiffened. She let go of me and burst into loud sobs again. Sister pinched the baby. Neck hurts. Everyone's face changed color. Sang Ningyue pulled her aside and lowered her head to check that fair neck. Soon, 2 red marks appeared on it. Those were scratches Rongrong made with her own nails. In her previous life, she had used this trick too, forcing a girl who refused to take her turn on duty to transfer to another class. Before I could say anything, Ji Linchuan had already shoved me. Are you done or not? The back of my waist slammed into the corner of the table, the pain making my vision go dark. My mother rushed over to support me. Stop it. Sang Ningyue held her daughter, her voice ice cold. Director Su, this is no longer just a conflict between classmates. I'm going to call the police and have her injuries examined. Rongrong was crying so hard she could barely breathe. Baby doesn't want the police. Baby is scared. Baby just wants sister to stop bullying baby. The harder she cried, the more sympathy she drew from everyone in the office. Director Su made the final decision. Shen Tinglan, you are suspended from class for 2 days to reflect. Go home and adjust your state of mind before the college entrance exam. I jerked my head up. Why? Because you're emotionally unstable. Will the suspension and reflection be recorded in my file? Director Su avoided my gaze. We'll see how you perform. My mother's voice trembled with anxiety. Director, my child is about to take the college entrance exam. You can't suspend their classes. Sang Ningyue handed over a piece of paper. Mom Shen, just sign the mediation agreement, as long as you admit your mistake and promise not to spread rumors about Rongrong anymore, the college entrance exam will proceed as usual. The first clause of the mediation agreement, admit that I, out of jealousy, pushed and pinched by Rongrong. The second clause, no longer mention the birthday song played over the school broadcast during the college entrance exam in any way. The third clause, if violated again, accept any disciplinary action from the school. The pen was shoved into my mother's hand. She looked at me, tears welling up in her eyes. Quite a few classmates were crowded at the office door. Little Fluffy leaned against Ji Linchuan's shoulder, its pacifier moving up and down. Sister, just sign it, please. Baby wants to be good friends with sister. I held my mom's hand. No signing. Director Su was furious. Shen Tinglan, the desk phone suddenly rang. Teacher Hang picked it up, hummed a few times, and her expression grew complicated. After hanging up, she looked at Director Su. Director, the district office notified us that for tomorrow's college entrance exam logistics training, the list of student volunteers for the broadcasting station needs to be submitted in advance. Director Su frowned. Wasn't Shen Tinglan always in charge in previous years? Ji Linchuan immediately said. Her current condition isn't suitable for handling broadcasting equipment. Barangrong looked up and spoke softly. Chuan knows how, and Baby wants to help too. Baby can work with Chuan and promise to be good. Director Su thought for a moment. Fine, Lin Chuan is steady, and Rongrong is in charge of registering the materials. In the previous life, it was this very list that allowed by Rongrong to smoothly enter the broadcast room. This time, they snatched the spot right in front of me. Sang Ningyue pushed the mediation document closer to me. You don't have to sign, but tomorrow, your name won't appear on the training list. Director Su picked up a red pen and crossed out the name Shen Tinglan on the radio station volunteer form. The sound of the red pen gliding across the paper was very soft, like the tip of a blade scraping bone. I watched as those 3 words were erased, and I didn't argue anymore. Director Su thought I was scared and stuffed the suspension notice into my backpack. Go home and cool off. Hand in 1,000-word self-criticism in 2 days. As I walked out of the office, the hallway was packed with onlookers. Someone deliberately raised their voice. I used to think Shen Tinglan was quite aloof, but I never expected her to be so good at pretending. Barangrong was pinched like that, and she still won't admit it. What's the use of good grades when her character is rotten? Bai Rongrong was helped out by Ji Linchuan, with an exaggerated bandage stuck on her neck. When she saw me, she shrank her shoulders. Sister, don't glare at Baby. Baby is scared. Ji Linchuan shielded her behind him. Shen Tinglan, I will officially break up with you after the college entrance exam. The surroundings instantly fell silent. Ji Linchuan and I had been competing with each other since the first year of high school, and our teachers and classmates assumed there was something special between us. In my past life, it was only after I died that he admitted he had long been fond of the innocent, fluffy white. This time, he handed the knife out in advance, not after the college entrance exam. His voice came out steadier than he had imagined. Let's break up now. Ji Linchuan was stunned for a moment. Bai Rongrong bit her pacifier, her eyes shining with undisguised brightness. Chuan, is big sister mad at the baby? Ji Linchuan quickly let out a cold laugh. Don't regret it. He took a silver bracelet out of his pocket. It was the one I gave him for my 17th birthday, bought with the money I earned from summer tutoring. In front of everyone, he threw it into the hallway trash can. Here you go, Bai Rongrong exclaimed. It's dirty now. Ji Linchuan patted her head. I don't want it anymore. A few girls laughed out loud. My mom bent down to pick it up, but I held her back. Mom, let's go. The sun outside the school gate was scorching. My mom didn't say a word the whole way, only stopping when we reached the entrance of the vegetable market. Tinglan, tell me the truth. Is what they said false? False. Tears suddenly fell from her eyes. Then Mom believes you. Those 4 short words shattered the strength that had carried me all the way. After returning home, I locked the door and opened the old computer. Before I died in my previous life, I saw Fluffy pushing a cake into the broadcast room, with a label from a private bakery stuck on the side of the cake box. On the first day after my rebirth, I registered a dummy account and joined that bakery's customer group. In the chat history, Fluffy's profile picture was a pink bear. She had sent a message last night. Deliver it to the back gate of No. 1 High School on the morning of June 7th. Make it a big cake, with a little princess crown, and it has to be able to fit inside a cabinet. The shop owner replied, the road near the school will be closed on the day of the college entrance exam, so we might not be able to deliver it inside. Barangrong sent a cute, flirty emoji. It's okay. With brother Chuan and Uncle Su here, the baby wants to hear the birthday song. Save the screenshot, back up to email, print 2 copies. There was a sudden knock at the door. My mom opened the door, and 2 girls in school uniforms were standing outside. One of them was Su Yenchio from the neighboring class, who was forced to transfer classes last year by Rongrong. She handed me an old USB drive. Shentinglan, I heard she got you too. Another girl lowered her head. We don't dare to testify. But there's something here. The USB drive was plugged into the computer. There are 3 videos in the folder. The first one shows Rongrong tearing up the duty roster at the restroom door, crying and saying she was being bullied by classmates. The second one shows Ji Linchuan removing someone else's competition registration form for her. The third one is from last week. Outside the equipment room, Barangrong held Director Su's keys and shook them at Ji Linchuan, on the baby's birthday. The broadcast room door must be opened. In the scene, Ji Linchuan smiled and ruffled her hair. Don't worry, the mouse hovers over the video pause button. Suddenly, a clicking sound comes from outside the window. Through the gap in the curtains, a phone is pointed directly at my computer screen. The moment the phone retracts, I push the door open and rush out. In the hallway, a sophomore boy sprinted away. Su Yenchio reacted faster, blocking him from the corner of the stairs. The phone fell to the ground, its screen still lit. The WeChat group name stung the eyes. Fluffy Baby Protection Squad. The latest update is the photo he just posted. Shentinglan is indeed fabricating evidence. The next second, dozens of messages exploded in the group chat. I knew she wouldn't stay quiet even during her suspension. Hurry and tell Rongrong, smash her computer so she can't harm anyone anymore. The boy's face turned pale, but he still talked back stubbornly. I was just passing by. What right do you have to snatch my phone? Su Yenchio sneered. Passing by outside someone's second-floor window, before returning his phone to him, I took a photo of the group chat page. He reached out to grab it, and I took a step back. Tell Rongrong that secretly recording videos is illegal. The boy glared at me. Why didn't you say it was illegal when you secretly recorded Rongrong? As he rushed downstairs, the stair railing banged loudly. Su Yenchio closed the door, his face dark. She's definitely going to bite back. Sure enough, half an hour later, a message popped up in the class group chat. Barangrong sent a voice message. Baby is so scared. Sister is suspended from school and still at home, yet she's sending people to block baby's friends and snatch their phones. Is baby not going to be able to take the college entrance exam anymore? Ji Linchuan immediately followed up. Shentinglan, haven't you caused enough trouble? Bullying Rongrong isn't enough. Now you're threatening underclassmen. Director Su sent a notice directly. Shentinglan and his parents are required to be at school by 9 a.m. tomorrow. If they refuse to come, the school will report the situation to the relevant authorities. My mom stared at her phone, her lips turning pale. Why are they so determined to force you? No one could answer. The next day, I went to school with printed materials and a USB drive. At the school gate, Rongrong stood by the flower bed, surrounded by a circle of people. She was wearing a pink sun-protective jacket, with gauze still stuck to her neck. Upon seeing me, she immediately hid in Ji Linchuan's arms. Sister is here. Baby is scared. Ji Linchuan looked at me coldly. Delete the phone data you took and apologize to your junior. I ignored him and walked straight toward the office building. Barangrong suddenly ran up and grabbed my backpack strap. Sister, are you going to use something fake to harm the baby? She was very strong, her fingernails digging into my shoulder through my clothes. Let go. I won't let go unless you promise not to tattle. The classmates around started recording videos. Rongrong's cries grew louder. Sister is going to hit the baby again. I let go of the backpack strap. She didn't expect it, and her whole body fell backward. Ji Linchuan caught her in one swift motion, his eyes blazing with fury. You knew she was frail. Rongrong lay in his arms, her shoulders trembling with sobs. Baby's chest hurts. Baby needs to go to the infirmary. When Director Su arrived, the scene was already in chaos. He pointed at me. Shentinglan, you really won't shed tears until you see the coffin. I want to see the principal. The principal is busy. Then I'll go to the district admissions office. Director Su's expression shifted slightly. Sang Ningyue walked out of the office building, a cold smile on her face. Classmate Shen, the district admissions office also requires evidence. I handed over the printout. Cake order, group chat screenshot, equipment room video. She only glanced at it, then raised her hand and tore it in half. The paper scraps fluttered to the ground. Who knows if you made this kind of thing? The USB drive was clenched in my palm. Director Su stared at my hand. Give it here. Teacher Heng's voice came from the end of the hallway. Director, the district examination team has arrived. several staff members walked through the stairwell. The middle-aged woman at the front had a badge that read, District Education Examination Center, Meng Qinghe. The smile on Sang Ningyue's face froze. Director Su's hand was still suspended in midair. Meng Qinghe looked at the pieces of paper on the ground, who tore up the materials. The air felt as if it were being choked. Sang Ningyue quickly regained her composure. Misunderstanding. Some students had a conflict and used fake screenshots to scare people. Meng Qinghe bent down to pick up half a piece of paper. The fluffy order message was printed right on top, delivered to the back gate of No. 1 Middle School on the morning of June 7. Baby wants to hear the birthday song. She looked up. On the day of the college entrance exam, Barangrong burst into tears. Auntie, I don't have one. I just wanted to eat cake for my birthday. Meng Qinghe didn't comfort her. Who is Shen Tinglan? I stepped forward. I am. Do you have any more materials? Director Su spoke first. Director Meng, this child has been emotionally unstable lately. She spread rumors during the flag-raising ceremony, and the school is handling it. Meng Qinghe glanced at him. I'm asking her. When I handed over the USB drive, my palms were completely sweaty. Ji Linchuan suddenly spoke up. Director Meng, the content on the USB drive is of unknown origin and may violate student privacy. He stood in front of Bai Rongrong, his tone resolute. Shen Tinglan and Bai Rongrong have a personal conflict, so her evidence cannot be trusted. Bai Rongrong was crying so hard she was hiccuping. Baby really didn't do anything bad. Baby just wanted everyone to like Baby. A staff member behind Meng Qinghe took the USB drive. Whether it's true or not, we will verify. Sang Ningyue smiled. Of course, I'll cooperate, but making a big deal out of this before the college entrance exam wouldn't be good for the school or the kids. Meng Qinghe's expression remained unchanged. Before the college entrance exam, the safety of exam-related equipment is more important than saving face. Director Su was sweating on his forehead. The exam affairs team temporarily occupied the small meeting room. I was called in to explain the situation. Just before the door closed, White Fluffy suddenly rushed over. Sister, don't go in. She grabbed the doorframe, her face red from crying. Baby was wrong. Baby won't listen to songs anymore. Sister, don't hurt Baby's mommy. Sang Ningyue's expression changed. Rongrong. As soon as these words were spoken, all the teachers in the corridor heard them. Meng Qinghe stopped in his tracks. What did you just say you wouldn't listen to? Bai Rongrong seemed to just snap out of it, the pacifier falling to the ground. Baby misspoke. Baby meant she wouldn't listen to big sister's scolding. Ji Linchuan bent down to pick up the pacifier, his fingers stiff. In the meeting room, a staff member plugged a USB drive into a computer that was not connected to the internet. When the first video played, Director Su was still making excuses, just students fooling around. In the second video, Ji Linchuan pulled out the competition registration form, and he fell silent. In the third paragraph, Bai Rongrong jingled the keys, and the sound came through clearly. On the baby's birthday, the broadcast room door must be opened. Meng Qinghe pressed pause. Director Su, why is the key in the student's hands? Director Su's face turned ashen. Just helping out temporarily. Where are the registration records? No one spoke. I handed over the second printout. This is a screenshot of the bakery's group chat. The shop owner can verify it. There's also a student who took a secret video, and someone in the group chat organized surveillance on my home. The staff member recorded each item one by one. Sang Ningyue could no longer sit still. Director Meng, my daughter is a minor and speaks naively, but she didn't cause any actual consequences. Shen Tinglan maliciously escalated the conflict before the college entrance exam, which is what truly affected exam preparation. Meng Qinghe looked at her. So you admit she said it? Sang Ningyue was left speechless. Barangrong shook her head, crying, Mommy, Baby doesn't want to be questioned. Baby feels dizzy. Ji Linchuan steadied her and said in a low voice, Rongrong, don't be afraid, it's okay. Meng Qinghe turned off the video. From now on, all keys to the broadcasting room and equipment room of No. 1 High School will be collected and sealed by the District Examination Affairs team. During the college entrance examination, no student from this school is allowed to access the broadcasting equipment except for personnel designated by the Examination Affairs team. Director Su nodded repeatedly. This should have been the first satisfying moment, but the next moment, Meng Qinghe looked at me. Shen Tinglan, the same goes for you. Do not conduct private investigations into classmates before the college entrance exam, to avoid sparking new conflicts. Sang Ningyue seized on this remark and immediately spoke up. Then I demand that the school transfer my daughter to another class, away from Shen Tinglan, otherwise If Rongrong's emotions are affected, who will take responsibility? Barangrong clutched her chest and collapsed softly. Baby can't breathe. Ji Linchuan picked her up and rushed to the infirmary outside. A group of students followed and ran after them. At the end of the corridor, someone turned back and cursed at me. Are you satisfied now? You pushed Rongrong into having a breakdown. Meng Qinghe frowned at the chaotic corridor. Director Su took the opportunity to steady himself against the table. Before the college entrance exam, it's best to keep things stable. Before the words had even faded, a scream came from the direction of the infirmary. Bai Rongrong has fainted. Bai Rongrong wasn't really unconscious. The school nurse finished taking her blood pressure and said quietly that it was just emotional agitation, but she lay on the hospital bed, a cooling patch stuck to the back of her hand, looking as if she had suffered a great injustice. The doorway of the infirmary was crowded with people. Ji Linchuan held a cup of warm water and fed her spoonful by spoonful. I can't drink anymore, baby. She turned her face away, tears streaming down her temples. Why does sister have to ruin baby's birthday? Baby only turns 18 once. Someone whispered words of comfort. College entrance exams only happen once, you know. Barangrong immediately cried even harder. That's why baby wanted to be special. Baby didn't actually set it off. Yet sister treats baby like a villain. That was a clever remark. I didn't actually play it. All the blame turned into me. Overreacting, Sang Ning US stood outside the door and took a few phone calls. She no longer mentioned the broadcast room, only demanded that the school issue a public clarification. Rongrong only said she wanted to eat cake for her birthday and never engaged in any behavior that disrupted the college entrance exam. Shen Tinglan spread one-sided information, damaging my daughter's reputation. Director Su didn't dare to show favoritism too obviously, but he also didn't dare to offend her. In the end, the school issued a vague notice, strictly prohibit anyone from approaching the exam-related area. It is strictly forbidden to spread unverified information. Students are strictly forbidden from provoking one another. 3 prohibitions, no names mentioned, but in the class group, Bai Rongrong posted a photo of a hospital bed. It's okay, baby. Baby will work hard on the exam and won't let the bad guys win. The likes quickly exceeded 100. Ji Linchuan reposted it to his moments. Kindness is not weakness. When the screenshot was sent to me, I was at the police station giving a statement. The high school sophomore who secretly recorded the video was taken away by his father, who repeatedly apologized. The police officer reprimanded him and demanded that the photos be deleted. This incident was minor, yet it left a written record. Walking out of the police station, Su Yanqiu was waiting at the entrance. Aren't you afraid they'll keep causing trouble? I am. I carefully put away the receipt, so everything leaves a mark. 2 days later, I returned to school. My seat had been moved to the last row, and the desk was covered in words written in correction fluid. Jealousy freak, the college entrance exam disruptor. In the drawer, there was a toy bear with its head twisted off, with "Stay away from the baby" written on its belly. Teacher Hang stood at the podium, his gaze sweeping over before shifting away. Final sprint. Don't let trivial matters affect you. Bai Rongrong leaned forward in the front row, turned her head, and waved at me. Sister is back. Baby is so happy. Her voice was sweet, but the class was filled with low laughter. Ji Linchuan placed a stack of test papers on my desk. These were sent out in the past couple of days. Don't think the whole world is against you. You still need to study. A sticky note was clipped to the top of the test paper. The handwriting on it was his. Apologize to Xiang Rongrong, and I can help you with your lessons. I tore the sticky note into pieces. Bai Rongrong immediately covered her mouth. Sister, don't tear up Chuanchuan's feelings. Chuanchuan will be sad. Ji Linchuan's face darkened. Shen Tinglan, don't be ungrateful. In the first English class, the teacher handed out the last mock exam answer sheets. When the papers were collected, I realized my admission ticket copy was missing. My backpack had been searched. The file folder in the drawer is empty. Barangrong raises her hand. Teacher, I found a photocopy of an admission ticket in the restroom. I don't know who carelessly left it there. She hands the paper over, for words were written in red above. Cheating in the exam. The whole class was in an uproar. Barangrong shrank back in fright. Baby didn't mean to see it. Baby was just picking it up. Ji Linchuan suddenly turned his head to look at me. Are you crazy enough to write something like this on your own admission ticket? I stood up. It wasn't me who wrote it. Barangrong's eyes reddened again. Don't look at me, sis. I can't write such ugly characters. The English teacher held the photocopy, her face turning pale. Shen Tinglan, come with me to the academic affairs office. In the hallway, the broadcast test sounds suddenly rang out, a very short melody mixed into the static noise, "Happy birthday to you." That melody lasted only 3 seconds, then it was cut off, yet the entire teaching building seemed to ignite. The English teacher stopped in the hallway, her face pale. "Who put it there?" Urgent footsteps came from the examination affairs office. Upstairs, Meng Qinghe led his team rushing toward the broadcasting room. The seal on the broadcasting room door was still intact, but a thin pink ribbon was wedged in the crack of the door. A white, fluffy strand of hair was missing its matching ribbon today. She stood at the classroom door, all color drained from her face. Not the baby. No one asked her. She had already started crying. Baby didn't go to the broadcast room. Baby was in the classroom the whole time, and everyone saw it. Ji Linchuan immediately said, "She really didn't leave." Meng Qinghe tore off the seal to inspect. There was no one in the broadcast room. The computer on the desk was turned off, and the amplifier power was not switched on either. That melody came from a backup small speaker on the ceiling of the corridor, connected to an old phone. The phone was taped inside the maintenance hatch, set to play on a timer. When Sang Ningyue arrived, her face was ashen. "Who did this? Framing my daughter." Bai Rongrong burst into tears and threw herself into her arms. "Mom, I'm so scared. Sister is definitely going to say it was me." Everyone looked at me again. The copy of the exam admission ticket was still in the English teacher's hand. The red letters were glaring. "Cheating in the exam room." Director Su clung to it like a lifeline. Director Meng Shentinglan was just found to have the word cheating written on her admission ticket. And now this broadcast incident has occurred. I suspect she orchestrated the whole thing herself to solidify her accusations against Bai Rongrong. Ji Linchuan chimed in. She always wanted to prove that Rongrong could play. "Happy birthday." Teacher Heng hurriedly pulled me aside. "Tinglan, explain yourself clearly." I looked at Meng Qinghe. "Whose phone is this? Check it." The staff member put on gloves and picked up the phone. The lock screen wallpaper was a pink bear. Bai Rongrong sobbing, which had just begun to subside, caught in her throat. Ji Linchuan's expression changed. "The wallpaper can be forged." Meng Qinghe asked the technical teacher to connect the computer. The phone had no SIM card, only a local alarm clock and audio files. There is a photo in the album. The time it was taken, 6:40 this morning. In the photo, White Fluffy sits in the back seat of a car, making a heart gesture at the camera. The same pink phone case. Sang Ningyue's face turned completely pale. "Rongrong." Bai Rongrong's lips trembled. Baby's phone was lost yesterday. Why didn't you report it when it was lost?" "Baby forgot." She suddenly pointed at me. "It must be Big Sister who stole it." Big Sister stole baby's phone to play music. Ji Linchuan clung to it like it was his last lifeline. "Yeah, Shentinglan came very early today. I didn't say anything, took out my phone, and opened the video. The footage showed my entire journey after entering the school this morning. At the school gate, 7:20. In the classroom, 7:28. In the office, 7:40. The video was taken by Su Yanqiu, who had been following me and filming the whole time. Su Yanqiu stood outside the crowd and raised her phone. I can testify that she didn't go near the broadcast room. Bai Rongrong was stunned. Director Su wanted to say something more, but Meng Qinghe had already turned to look at him. "Check the hallway surveillance footage from this morning." This time, the surveillance wasn't broken. In the footage, at 6:55, Bai Rongrong came up from the side staircase, tiptoed, and stuffed her phone into the maintenance hatch. Behind her, Ji Linchuan was keeping watch. At exactly 7 o'clock, the two went downstairs together. Barangrong stared at the screen and suddenly screamed, "Don't play it, baby doesn't want to watch." She lunged forward to grab the mouse but was stopped by the staff. Ji Linchuan stood still, his face pale. The video continued playing. Before going downstairs, Bai Rongrong smiled at Ji Linchuan. "Just give it a try first. It'll make things go smoother on the day of the college entrance exam." Meng Qinghe pressed pause. On the day of the college entrance exam, no one spoke up for her anymore. The pacifier in Bai Rongrong's mouth fell to the ground. She suddenly crouched down, covered her face, and burst into tears. "I was just trying. I didn't hurt anyone. Why is everyone being so mean to me?" Meng Qinghe turned to the staff and said, "Notify the principal, notify the district admissions office, and file a police report." Sang Ningyue's figure swayed slightly. Director Su leaned against the wall. In the corridor, all the onlookers took a step back. When the police arrived at the school, Bai Rongrong had already cried herself hoarse. She sat in the meeting room, clutching a tissue in her hand. "Baby isn't a bad baby. Baby was just afraid that sister would wrongly accuse baby, so baby wanted to prove that the birthday song wasn't that serious." The police officer asked her, "Who took the photocopy of the admission ticket?" Bai Rongrong sobbed and shook her head, baby doesn't know. Meng Qinghe adjusted the surveillance footage forward. After school yesterday afternoon, Ji Linchuan entered the classroom. He opened my drawer and took the document folder. In the footage, his movements were very fast, then he stuffed a piece of paper into the fluffy white desk hole. The next day, the fluffy white one took it out, and the red pen had already written the words. Ji Linchuan's face was pale, devoid of any trace of color. I just wanted her to stop targeting Rongrong, the police officer frowned. Do you have any idea how much impact fabricating cheating information has on a test taker? Ji Linchuan lowered his head. I didn't think that far ahead. These light, dismissive words made Teacher Hang cover her face. Her most outstanding student in the past 3 years, a top achiever who had effortlessly won provincial competition awards, had stolen a classmate's exam admission ticket and forged cheating marks just to comfort a girl who cried easily. Barangrong suddenly lifted her head. It wasn't Chuan, it was sister who forced us. Her face was flushed red from crying. If sister hadn't been so fierce, the baby wouldn't have wanted to try the song, and Chuan wouldn't have helped the baby. It's all sister's fault. Sang Ningyue finally couldn't hold back. Shut up. The meeting room fell silent. Bai Rongrong stared at her blankly. Mom is scolding the baby. Sang Ningyue's eyes were filled with panic and anger. I told you to restrain yourself. Why did you still touch the broadcast? But Mom also said the baby should be happy on their birthday. Bai Rongrong cried even harder. Mom said that the teachers at No. 1 middle school would all save face for the baby, and Uncle Su would also help the baby. The baby just wants Gidge. The water cup in Director Su's hand fell to the ground. Meng Qinghe looked at Sang Ningyue. What does this sentence mean? Sang Ningyue's face turned pale. Children talk nonsense. Meng Qinghe didn't argue with her and directly asked Director Su to hand over the key registration records for the exam-related areas. Over the past month, on the registration form, the key to the broadcast room is under Director Su's name. The borrowing and returning records are blank. For the equipment room key, the signature column has 3 entries signed by Ji Linchuan on behalf of others. This is not a conspiracy, it's just a bunch of people who think no one would dare to call them out, treating rules as favors. Barangrong was still crying. Baby doesn't want a demerit, baby wants to go to college, baby wants to celebrate a birthday. The police officer finished taking the statement and classified the incident as disrupting the school's exam management order and attempted infringement of others' reputation. Since it did not cause actual consequences for the college entrance exam, the case was handed over to the school and the exam authorities for handling. With the police report kept on file, the outcome came quickly. Director Su was suspended from exam-related duties and placed under district investigation. Ji Linchuan had his honors as an outstanding graduate, recommendation for direct admission, and radio volunteer status revoked, and received a demerit from the school. Bai Rongrong was stripped of all school commendations, and before the exams, her parents had to sign a guarantee that she would not approach any exam-related areas. Sang Ningyue was removed from the parent committee. The notice was posted in the lobby of the teaching building. Those who once flocked around Bai Rongrong suddenly changed their tune overnight. I always thought she was putting on airs. Even the college entrance exam broadcast dares to mess with. Are they out of their minds? Ji Linchuan is pretty stupid too. Bai Rongrong stood in front of the notice. Hearing these words, trembling all over like a sieve, she turned her head to look at me. His eyes were venomous, nothing like the person who would call her baby. Shen Tinglan, are you satisfied now? Ji Linchuan stopped her, his voice weary. Rongrong, stop messing around. Barangrong shook off his hand. You're being mean to me too. You used to say you'd always protect me. Ji Linchuan's lips moved, but he didn't try to soothe her again. She suddenly rushed over, raising her hand as if to hit me. Su Yanqiu grabbed her wrist. Want to get a second demerit? Bai Rongrong screamed in pain. Let go of the baby. You're bad guys. All of you are bad guys. She crouched in the center of the hall, wailing loudly. The passing senior high school students walked around her. No one handed her a tissue, no one comforted her. The pre-exam instructions were playing over the loudspeaker. All examinees are required to take the exam with integrity and abide by the exam room discipline. Barangrong looked up at the loudspeaker, her crying suddenly pausing for a beat. On the first day of the college entrance exam, the sky was heavily overcast. A warning line was set up at the school gate. My mom stood outside the crowd, tiptoeing and waving at me. She wasn't holding a tofu basket, just a bottle of warm water and a boiled egg. Tinglan, don't be afraid. I'm not afraid. At the security checkpoint, Ji Linchuan was standing in line ahead of me. In just a few days, he had visibly lost weight. when it was his turn, the exam proctor took a folded note out of his transparent pencil case. His expression changed instantly. The note was opened, and there was only one sentence on it. Chuan Chuan, baby is scared, wait for baby during the exam. The invigilator frowned. Who did that? Ji Linchuan looked behind him. Bai Rongrong stood in another line, holding a pacifier, tears already welling up. Baby just didn't want Chuan Chuan to leave baby behind, the invigilator said sternly. Bringing notes unrelated to the exam will be dealt with according to the rules. Ji Linchuan panicked. Teacher, I didn't know this paper was in there. Barangrong burst into tears. Baby didn't mean to harm Chuan Chuan. Baby just wanted to be close. The exam site supervisor rushed over to verify. Since the note did not involve exam content, Ji Linchuan received a warning. The note was confiscated, and he was rescreened before entering. When he passed by Bai Rongrong, for the first time, he didn't look at her. Bai Rongrong reached out and tugged at the corner of his clothes. Chuan Chuan, Ji Linchuan forcefully pulled it back. Don't touch me. She froze in place, the pacifier falling from her mouth. After the first Chinese exam ended, Bai Rongrong cried at the school gate for 20 minutes. Sang Ningyue tried to pull her away, but she sat on the ground and refused to move. Baby can't finish writing. Baby blames sister. Baby's head is full of the broadcast room. No one responded. The next morning during the comprehensive science exam, she was 7 minutes late, running so fast that her hair clip went askew. During the security check, she was stopped because there was a small electronic night light in her pocket. Baby needs to hold the little light to sleep, forgot to take it out. The invigilator remained expressionless. Put it here. No, baby is afraid of the dark. It's daytime now. Some of the candidates waiting in line couldn't help but laugh. Bai Rongrong's face flushed red, and tears fell. You're all bullying the baby, this time. Sang Ningyue dragged her aside and lowered her voice to shout, if you cry again, don't bother taking the exam. Bai Rongrong was stunned by the shout, her sobs caught in her throat. The English exam was at 3 in the afternoon. Before entering the exam hall, I saw Bai Rongrong being called alone to the exam office. Meng Qinghe read out the regulations at the door. Candidate Bai Rongrong, due to attempts to access broadcasting equipment and schedule audio playback before the exam, in order to maintain order in the examination hall, after deliberation by the examination center, you are assigned to take the English exam in the spare examination room. Dual invigilation and full video recording will be in place throughout. If you disrupt the exam order again, it will be reported and handled according to regulations. Bai Rongrong's face turned pale. Baby doesn't want to take the exam alone. Baby is scared. Sang Ningyue grabbed her shoulders. You finish the exam for me. Mommy will accompany baby. Parents cannot enter the exam hall. Then Chuan Chuan will stay with the baby, at the other end of the corridor. Ji Linchuan paused in his steps but did not look back. The bell rang. All examinees are entering the venue. The backup exam room is at the end of the first floor, with sealed windows and 2 invigilators standing at the door. When Bai Rongrong was led inside, she was still sobbing. Baby doesn't want to listen to the listening test. Baby's ears hurt. The invigilator calmly reminded, English listening test is about to begin. Please keep quiet. The sound of the audio test came from the broadcast, standard, clear, and free of noise. No birthday song, no cheers. No one made an exception for her. Barangrong sat alone in the empty spare examination room, with only a test paper, a pen, 2 invigilators, and a camera with a blinking red light above her head. The first listening question begins. She suddenly started crying. At first, it was a soft whimper, but soon turned into an uncontrollable wail. Baby doesn't want to take the exam anymore. Baby wants to celebrate a birthday. Baby wants songs. Proctor's warning. Examinee Bai Rongrong, please remain quiet. You are the only examinee in this exam room, but the entire exam is being recorded on video. Any disruption of order will be documented. Her sobs hitched, then lowered into intermittent sniffles. The female voice of the listening test continued reading. Outside the door, Meng Qinghe stood in the hallway, confirming that the main exam hall's broadcast was functioning properly. I sat in my own exam room, hearing faint cries from a distance beyond my earphones, like the buzz of a mosquito trapped in a glass jar. It didn't affect a single question, but it was enough to let me know that she had finally heard her own voice. In the previous life, after she pushed me down the stairs, she cried just like this. She cried so much that everyone gathered around her, and no one looked down to see me lying in a pool of blood with my eyes wide open. The tip of the pen landed on the answer sheet. The last listening question ended, and the broadcast prompted everyone to start answering. The dark clouds outside the window dispersed, and sunlight fell on the corner of the desk. I wrote the first line of My essay, in the spare exam room, the fluffy white one was still sobbing. One by one, they accompanied her through the entire English exam paper. When the college entrance exam bell rang, the entire building fell silent for 3 seconds, then, long-suppressed cheers erupted. Someone rushed out of the exam hall and hugged their friend. Someone is standing in the hallway crying. I packed up my stationery and walked to the school gate. My mom was squeezed in the crowd, holding a bunch of sunflowers in her hand. When she saw me, she smiled and then started crying. "I've finished the exam, yeah, I've finished the exam." Behind them came a piercing cry. Bai Rongrong was dragged out by Sang Ningyue, her eyes swollen shut. As soon as she saw me, she broke free from her mother and rushed over. Shen Tinglan, the teacher by the cordon, immediately stopped her. Bai Rongrong pointed at me, her voice tearing like ripped cloth. "It's all your fault." The baby couldn't hear the English listening test clearly. "The baby is doomed. You have to compensate the baby for college." Parents around all turned to look. Meng Qinghe happened to come out of the exam center and said coldly, "Candidate Bai Rongrong, your English listening playback was normal, and the backup exam room was recorded throughout. You couldn't hear clearly because you kept crying and making a scene." Bai Rongrong froze. Sang Ningyue's face burned with embarrassment. "Director Meng, there's a reason the child is emotionally breaking down." Meng Qinghe interrupted her. The cause was already dealt with before the exam. The college entrance exam is not a place for emotional outbursts. Ji Linchuan walked out of the school gate. Bai Rongrong looked at him as if seeing a lifeline. "Chuan, you have to speak up for me. I didn't mean to cry." Ji Linchuan looked at her, his gaze vacant for a long time. "Bai Rongrong, my English has been affected by that piece of paper of yours too." Bai Rongrong couldn't believe it. "You're blaming the baby?" "I blame myself." His voice was hoarse, almost breaking. "I blame myself for mistaking your willfulness for loveliness." These words weighed heavier than any punishment. The grievance on Bai Rongrong's face shattered, revealing resentment. "You didn't say that before. You said everything the baby does is right." "I was wrong." Ji Linchuan turned to look at me. "Shen Tinglan, I'm sorry." The noise at the school gate quieted down a little. He lowered his head. "About the exam admission ticket, the broadcasting room incident, and many things before that, I'm sorry. If it were my past life, I might have waited for this apology until death, but now, it comes too late and too lightly." I look at him. "I don't accept it." Ji Linchuan's shoulders trembled. Bai Rongrong suddenly laughed, tears streaming down her face. "Did you hear that? Sister is just bad. She forgives no one." Su Yanqiu walked over from the crowd. "When did refusing to forgive those who hurt you become a bad thing?" She held up her phone in front of Bai Rongrong. On the screen was the school's newly issued notice. "Senior year student Bai, for violating exam regulations by accessing exam-related equipment before the test and attempting to play unrelated audio, causing a severe negative impact, has been given a demerit. The relevant details will be truthfully recorded in the comprehensive quality file." Ji Momu, a senior high school student, has been given a demerit for rummaging through others' belongings without permission and fabricating false information. Su Momu has been suspended from duty pending further investigation. Sang Ningyue snatched the phone and read it, her face turning ashen. Bai Rongrong still didn't understand what the file meant. "Mom, can a demerit be erased?" Sang Ningyue did not answer. A few days later, the results came out. I scored 12 points higher than my estimated score. My provincial ranking is high enough to get into my top choice law program. Su Yanqiu also did well on the exam and texted me, saying she finally dared to tell her parents about what happened before. Ji Linchuan underperformed. After his competition recommendation was cancelled, he could only get into an ordinary first-tier university. Bai Rongrong's English score was ridiculously low, and her total score didn't even meet the undergraduate cutoff. I heard that on the day the results were released. She smashed all her pink dolls at home, crying and cursing Sang Ningyue for being useless. Sang Ningyue took her to school to plead for leniency. The principal refused to see them. Meng Qinghe only replied with one sentence, "All processing is based on factual evidence and fully documented." The day the admission letter arrived, my mother placed it on the altar table. On it stood a photo of my father. In his lifetime, he was an ordinary teacher, and his most frequent saying was, "You can lose an exam, but you must never let the rules rot." I took out the bracelet that Ji Linchuan had thrown away from the drawer. Later, my mom still secretly picked it up, washed it clean, and put it in a small box. The silver chain looked tarnished in the sunlight. A garbage truck passed by downstairs. I walked downstairs and threw the box into the green bin at the back of the car. The metal hit the bottom with a very soft sound. My phone vibrated in my pocket. The class group chat was lively for the last time. Berengrong sent a long voice message, crying and saying she was just a baby. So why wouldn't the whole world make allowances for her? No one replied. A moment later, the group owner disbanded the chat, the screen returned to the desktop, the sound of a camera shutter capturing an admission letter came from afar, and my mom stood at the door calling me for dinner. Ting Lan, the braised fish is ready. Steam billowed out from the kitchen. I turned off my phone and walked into the house. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue. To see, our entire family is bound to the double effect system by my uncle's family. My dad's salary is 10,000. My uncle's stock trading account gets an extra 20,000. My mom goes to the beauty salon for a facial. Aunt's rough skin inexplicably became twice as smooth and fair. My family saved for a long time before finally moving into a bright and spacious large apartment. Uncle's family immediately moved into a townhouse in the same neighborhood. It wasn't until the final subject of the college entrance exam that I accidentally drank the spiked water. When I forced myself to endure the stomach pain and finish the exam paper, just when I thought I was doomed, the next moment, the emergency personnel rushed to carry away my cousin, who had lost control of his bladder and bowels in another exam room. I walked out of the exam hall and was immediately taken to the hospital by my parents. My parents just can't figure it out. My grades are terrible, so I've always had a good mindset when it comes to exams. How could I get so nervous that I had stomach cramps? In comparison, my cousin had it even worse, because the onset of the illness was too sensational. Specialists from the Municipal Key Hospital conducted a consultation. They examined the cousin like a test subject, over and over, yet they couldn't figure out what physical issue caused the examinee to have diarrhea that sprayed like a machine gun. Finally, the experts unanimously concluded that it must have been the immense psychological pressure during the college entrance exam that caused such an uncontrollable situation for my cousin. Grandma and Grandpa were crying and wailing in the hospital. My precious grandson, my dear boy, you've suffered so much. Precious has always been worry-free when it comes to his grades, a Harvard hopeful at school, who knew he was under such immense psychological pressure. I passed by the emergency room's brightly lit red door, watching the wailing grandparents. If I didn't know better, I'd think my cousin had kicked the bucket. My dad and my mom exchanged a glance. They were debating whether to step forward. The moment Grandma saw me, she charged at me like a black-eyed chicken. You jinx, what are you doing at the hospital? Are you here to laugh at your cousin's illness? I thought to myself, so even Grandma thinks this is a joke. My mother shielded me behind her with a cold expression. My dad stepped forward to hold my grandma back. Mom, what are you doing? Lisa is also sick and just came out of another department. Grandma showed no concern for me at all. Instead, she glared at me resentfully. She's sick too. It must be her bad luck that was passed on to Precious. She deliberately doesn't want Precious to go to Harvard. My mom heard this and completely lost it. Is it bad luck when my daughter gets sick? But not when your precious grandson gets sick. Precious had explosive diarrhea in the exam hall, splattering the test papers of so many fellow examinees. Now that's truly an eye-opening stroke of bad luck. Old lady, go ahead and spew all the nonsense you want. Just see if the retribution doesn't land squarely on your precious grandson's asshole. Grandma's eyes widened as if struck by lightning. Her cursing mouth wanted to lash out but didn't dare anymore. My mother, seeing this, smiled silently. Children and grandchildren's suffering must be because the elders have sinned. Go ahead and curse and scold. My daughter has a tough fate. Unlike your precious grandson who can't bear the weight of your karma. Grandma was so angry that smoke seemed to rise from her 7 orifices, her fists clenched, and her jaw grinding loudly. You can tell she was cursing a lot in her mind. Grandpa couldn't stand it and scolded her. Have you all had enough? Then he glared at my dad. You don't even know how to say a word. My father mumbled hesitantly. Dad, I'm not good with words. I take after you. You didn't say anything just now either, did you? Grandpa's face turned bright red, and with a wave of his hand, he told us to get out immediately. Our family had no choice but to leave. The difference was, my dad and I left with a sense of relief, while my mom left with sheer delight. To be honest, my mom used to be quite a refined person. Her sharp tongue was honed over more than a decade of arguments with my grandmother after marriage. Being able to outsmart Grandma would probably keep my mom happy until evening. All these years, my dad has always stood by my mom's side. It's mainly because Grandma went too far. Favoring boys over girls is one thing, but she even insisted that I have bad luck. More than a decade ago, my cousin and I were born almost at the same time, with our birth dates differing by just 1 hour, but my grandmother happened to believe a wandering charlatan. It was precisely because my cousin and I were born around the same time that our destinies were said to clash. When Grandma heard this, it was simply unacceptable. She insisted on sending me far away, no matter what. Of course, my parents wouldn't agree to it. From then on, Grandma never had a pleasant expression when she saw me. Both of my parents are educated, so naturally, they wouldn't treat me differently because of any superstitious beliefs. They knew my grandmother didn't like me, so I grew up living with my maternal grandmother in the city. I thought that, with my cousin and me living far apart and my grandmother not seeing me, time would eventually wash away the nonsense about us being incompatible. Unfortunately, my uncle's family didn't see it that way. After I started elementary school, my uncle's family moved to the city. When my family bought a large apartment, my uncle's family bought a townhouse in the same neighborhood. We were even placed in the same school, just in different classes. My aunt's clothing store is right across the street from my mom's workplace. We can't avoid running into each other. Just as we left the hospital, my uncle called almost immediately, as if it were an urgent summons. My dad was driving and asked my mom to answer the phone. My mom held the phone far away as she answered it. My uncle's furious voice immediately boomed through. "Zane, did anything just happen while you were driving?" My dad glanced at his phone with disdain. "Without me driving normally, what could possibly go wrong?" Uncle asked again. "I heard that Lisa is also sick. Is that true?" My mom rolled her eyes. "Bro, if there's nothing else, I'm hanging up." Hey. My mom ended the call and muted her phone. Even a gold miner couldn't dig up such an idiot. "A few years ago, your eldest brother still cared about us a lot. Now he's just like your mom, thinking that if anything happens to his son, it's all Lisa's fault," my dad said calmly. "Eldest brother didn't say that. Anyway, with both kids having such an accident during the college entrance exam, let's just drop it." My mom turned to look at me from the passenger seat and comforted me, saying, "Lisa, we just need to do our best. Don't put too much pressure on yourself." I looked at the hurried WeChat message from my uncle and frowned slightly. "Lisa, is your dad really okay with driving? Why is uncle so worried about my dad driving?" It wasn't until we reached the parking lot of the residential complex that my mom got out of the car and noticed a piece of the car's rear side had been scraped off at some point. My dad took out a Tomcat sticker and covered up the scratched paint. "The company's finances are a bit tight, so let's leave it at that for now. Otherwise, repairs would just be another expense." In the evening, I accidentally came across my classmate Lucy's social media post about her evening trip out of the city. "Today is really unlucky. Encountered a biochemical weapon in the exam hall, and just after leaving the city, I got rear-ended. For the rest of the journey, I hope the heavens treat me a little better." The accompanying image shows a 3-car pileup on an overpass, with the front car's rear completely smashed. In the corner of the photo, Uncle is angrily holding up his phone. What a coincidence. That evening, while reporting on the college entrance exam news, the television station selected a very blurry surveillance video clip. Suddenly, my cousin, who was sitting in his seat, raised his arm and shouted, "I can't take it anymore." As soon as he took a step, his pants fell down. Several examinees who were sitting nearby all suffered the consequences. The test paper was sprayed with disgusting feces. The television station even carefully pixelated the process of my cousin's buttocks erupting. My family hasn't turned on the TV for a long time. It was my dad who was reminded by an acquaintance. "I only saw that scene when I changed the channel." An acquaintance chuckled on the phone. "The TV station is something else. What's the point of blurring the butt? They should blur the face instead." My dad was so embarrassed he couldn't say a word. "The video is blurry, but if it's someone familiar, how could anyone not recognize my cousin's imposing figure, standing at 6'3" and weighing 250 pounds? Once he sits on the ground, the more he struggles, the harder it is for him to get up." My mom let out a surprised, "Huh," and changed the channel. My dad also hung up on his end. How could Precious be like this? I wonder if her college entrance exam results will be affected. My mom said disdainfully, "If Precious is affected, Grandma will blame Lisa first. Even if you do well on the test, Grandma will first laugh and then scold Lisa." "I should care about Lisa first." My father sighed. "All the neighbors, relatives, and friends know that Precious is my nephew. If you're angry with Grandma, don't take it out on the child." My mom interrupted. "Oh, such a big build. Still a child. Grandma and Grandpa have spoiled Precious into acting like a child, treating the college entrance exam hall like a preschool. Can't even control basic bodily functions. Acquaintances are already calling our home. You should first think about how you're going to face the boss at the company tomorrow." While my parents were arguing, I kept looking at the messages on my phone. To put it without exaggeration, from the moment the college entrance exam ended, the incident of my cousin defecating in the exam hall quickly spread on various social media platforms. Locally related hashtags all ranked in the top 3. Many examinees in the same exam hall were affected too. Varying degrees in their performance. One female examinee vomited on the spot and later broke down in tears. Several candidates are still making statements online, vowing they will not let my cousin off the hook. The next day, after my father got off work, he still kindly went to the hospital to visit my cousin. In the hospital room, my cousin was playing games as if nothing had happened. He was already back to his usual self. Grandma was holding a bowl of chicken soup, fussing over him with concern. "Good grandson, come, have a sip of soup." The cousin glanced at the greasy chicken soup with disgust. "It smells awful, take it away." "I won't drink it." The more grandma is disliked, the more loving her expression becomes. It's as if she can't feel the depth of her love for her grandson unless she feeds the chicken soup directly into his mouth. "Good grandson, be good, just take a small sip." Grandma held a spoon in one hand and a bowl of soup in the other. Long, yellow nails were soaked in the soup. As his grandmother moved closer, the cousin impatiently flung his arm out. The strong chicken soup splashed all over the front of his grandmother's clothes. "Ah, Mom," the cousin was utterly fed up. "I told you not to come, but you insisted. Look, there are still chicken feathers in the soup. How can I drink it?" My father stepped into the hospital room and helped Grandma up. "Precious, is this any way to behave?" My cousin isn't afraid of my dad at all. In fact, he seems to look down on him. "Uncle, why aren't you slaving away at the company? What are you doing here?" My dad was furious. "Is this how you speak to your elders? Where are your parents? I'll ask them how they raised you." My cousin curled his lips. "Go ahead and look. My parents are big business owners, not like you, Uncle, who has all the time in the world to watch over someone else's son." My dad was about to scold my cousin but was stopped by my grandmother. "Precious is just right, you're not allowed to bully him." Grandma's wet and oily clothes emitted a strange odor, making my father instinctively step back. My cousin sat by the hospital bed and said, "Uncle, trying to win me over now is useless." My father seemed to have heard something utterly absurd. "I'm trying to please you." My cousin's attitude was arrogant and smug. "Exactly, there's no such thing as a free lunch in this world. My usual mock exam scores are good enough to get into Harvard. Even if I mess up the last subject, I can still pick and choose from top 1 or top 2 universities." "Uncle, I really understand you. You have no son, and Lisa is a hopeless student destined for a vocational college. You fuss over me at my sickbed. Isn't it just because you want to rely on me in the future? The James family's ancestral graves are smoking, and it all depends on me now." My dad was speechless for a moment, then immediately exploded. "Go to hell, you idiot. Mom, this is the child you've spoiled. Not only did you spew nonsense during the exam, but you're also doing it right in front of me." Upon hearing the words, "spew nonsense," my cousin's face turned pale. "Grandma is acting more anxious than my cousin." "Shut your mouth. Who allowed you to bring up that pooping incident?" "Precious, that's called irritable bowel syndrome. You're just jealous. You're just insecure. It's not like Precious is your son." My dad was kicked out of the hospital room. He came back and told my mom about it. My mom had long lost any illusions about my grandmother's family. "What's the big deal? Hasn't your mom treated Lisa this way for over a decade? Big brother and sister-in-law have been doing better and better in the stock market these past few years. Now that Precious is about to get into a good university, your mom doesn't want you anymore." My dad let out a bitter laugh, full of grievance. Things like, "no son to rely on, I need to please my nephew," and, "the ancestors' graves are smoking with good fortune." These aren't things young people today would say. It must be that my parents and my brother's family often talk about it, so Precious has been influenced by it. Originally, I thought my older brother still cared about me as his younger brother. After all, he bought a house in the same neighborhood as us, his 2 children have been going to the same school for over a decade, and he often asks how I'm doing from time to time. It seemed like he cared. But now it's clear that it was just about comparison and showing off. My mother was even more displeased. A few years ago, my sister-in-law's clothing store was right across from my workplace, and my colleague went in to browse while passing by. My sister-in-law first asked if my colleague and I were in the same department, then immediately inquired about our salaries, benefits, and subsidies, wanting to know the total annual income. My colleague was reluctant to answer, and my sister-in-law immediately made a sour face, even calling them poor after they left the store. "Is this how you show concern for relatives?" Not being straightforward, I fear my brother might suffer, yet also fear he might drive a Land Rover. My parents were still angrily discussing something, but I didn't listen carefully. Looking back now, my uncle's family indeed maintained a constant, yet seemingly ordinary, attention toward our family. Usually, my uncle and aunt enjoy probing about our family's income in a roundabout way. After knowing, they always show an expression of either joy, dissatisfaction, or frustration at one's lack of progress. Up to this point, it was still normal, until my cousin and I started elementary school together. I really have no talent for studying, I've been working so hard, yet my grades are always in the lower middle of the class. In contrast, my cousin spends all day just having fun, but every time the results come out, his total score is always at the top. At first, my parents also tried everything to get me into tutoring classes and do practice problems, all to improve my grades, but they spent over a decade of time and effort, only to prove one truth about me: I am indeed a mediocrity. My cousin, however, is a self-taught genius. Because of this, I was often ridiculed by others since childhood. The more I thought about it, the more frustrated I felt, so I started organizing the exam papers from the past year or so. Just a few days before the college entrance exam, many of my classmates tore up their textbooks, workbooks, and exam papers, turning them into flurries of white paper snow. It was like a grand and romantic farewell to their youth, but I didn't do that, mainly because I wanted to sell them as scrap paper. Selling for a few $dozen is also the price of youthful hard work, although it's cheap, but my achievements are indeed worthless. My phone suddenly gave a notification. It's the school's confession wall. A popular post from a junior student was recommended to me. The title is, "Never put a halo on academic geniuses, especially the ones who are full of hot air." Turns out, a sophomore girl, before the college entrance exams, went through several rounds of bidding with a few classmates and finally spent a high price to buy her cousin's senior year study materials. I thought I could gain a lot of valuable insights from it. However, aside from the slightly worn-out cover, the stack of materials was either blank, scribbled all over, or filled with my cousin's sharp comments on the appearance and figures of many girls in each class. Comments like, "Worth sleeping with," "Must be mind-blowing in bed," "With curves so impressive, it'd be a waste not to touch," "Truly a lustful youth." It was even more explicit and vulgar than a red light district. After receiving it, the junior was completely shocked and went to her cousin to ask for a refund. Not only did the cousin refuse to return the money, but he also gave her a harsh lecture on how to behave. Even if I didn't do well on the last subject, my college entrance exam score would definitely be above 700. "You should just worship me quietly. Why do you have to stir up trouble? Just wait until my college entrance exam score slaps you in the face, you little bitch." The furious underclassman angrily wrote a 10,000-word rant and posted it as proof. "I just want to see how many points this perverted sex maniac can actually score." 700 points. My cousin had made it onto the list in the previous mock exams, but my grades were really poor, and my parents, being considerate of my feelings, didn't compare me to my cousin. I quickly found my cousin's scores from the recent major exams. Damn, me, 360 points, cousin, 720 points, me, 356 points, cousin, 712 points, me, 345 points, cousin, 690 points. My scores are hovering around 350 points. Cousin's total scores in these recent exams have all exceeded 700 points, and each time, it's exactly double my total score. This is just too damn coincidental. I didn't sleep all night, besides comparing the scores of all the important exams from my 3 years of high school. I even dug up all the test scores of my cousins from elementary and middle school that I could find. Every major exam, my cousin's score is always double that of mine, a poor student. For other small tests and the like, the scores are also nearly double. Seeing the sky outside the window turning gray with dawn, I lay slumped on the floor, my vision blurry with exhaustion, surrounded by books, test papers, scratch paper, and so on. I'm not sure if this counts as proving anything. Everything is multiplied by 2. Multiplied by 2, double kill. Isn't it just like seeing a ghost? In the morning, Mom and Dad are getting ready for work. Seeing my ghost-like complexion, they couldn't help but be startled. My mom glared at me. "Lisa, even though the college entrance exams are over, you can't just let yourself go like this." My dad was holding his breath. "I never expected you to get into Tsinghua or Peking University, but you can't just go wild after finishing the big exam." I drank soy milk dejectedly. I sighed casually. "Maybe I really have bad luck." My mom got anxious right away. "What do you mean, bad luck? Your grandma was just talking nonsense and cursing you. How could you believe that?" My dad said seriously. "Lisa, how can you say that? You're a girl, you've been weak and sickly since childhood, and your grades are just average. But when have your mother and I ever complained or thought you were worse than others?" Once a person starts thinking they're not good enough and uses that as an excuse, they won't be able to face challenges in the future, or they'll just give up. You're not allowed to say things like that again. Before he could finish, my dad's phone started vibrating. The caller ID showed it was Grandma. My dad held back for a moment but eventually answered. Zane, it's terrible. Precious has been playing games for a whole day and night, and he's passed out. Grandma was crying loudly, without using speakerphone. My mom and I felt as if we were right there at the scene. My dad also yelled back, then why did you let the child play for a whole day and night? Grandma felt extremely wronged. Why would he ever listen to me? My dad asked again, what about your brother and sister-in-law? Your brother and sister-in-law have been arguing since yesterday. They finally calmed down this morning. They will probably come over. My dad chuckled wryly. If you can, you can. If you can't, you can't. What do you mean by, I'll figure it out? Precious scolded me so harshly yesterday. Why are you calling me? Let his own parents take care of him. With that, she hung up. My mother snorted coldly. Even diarrhea made the headlines. So what's the big deal about having fun for a whole day and night? Then he pointed at me. Don't copy that. My mind was filled with the echoing game prompt. Double kill, double kill, double kill. I have stomach cramps while my cousin has severe diarrhea. The back of my dad's car was scraped equals my uncle was rear-ended by 2 cars. I stayed up late equals my cousin didn't sleep for a full day and night. My parents had a verbal argument over my cousin equals my uncle and aunt had a big fight, and my terrible grades, and my cousin's ridiculously high scores. What a bizarre coincidence, what a clever double buff. Is every aspect of our family's life just a reference for my uncle's family, with every fortune and misfortune replicated with a double effect? Is there some kind of cheat mechanism in this world that my uncle's family has mastered? How is this even possible? Next, as if possessed, I wanted to continue testing the possibility of the double effect, but my mom is away on a business trip. My father also became busy with work. My uncle and aunt started to appear and disappear unpredictably. Not only did they stop going to the hospital, but the clothing store also closed, with only my cousin and me as the 2 reference groups. Can the verification be reliable? My cousin has been discharged from the hospital because the news of his diarrhea was too sensational. He moved to our grandparents' house in the countryside. I really don't want to go to our grandparents' house and be a bother. I was aimlessly searching online for explanations and evidence of this phenomenon. I followed a bunch of accounts related to sci-fi, fantasy, and the supernatural. It sent chills down my spine. My cousin was also feeling uneasy at home. I always say I feel so scared, yet so curious, so thrilling, and so excited. My mood goes up and down, my heart pounds. Thump thump. Grandma thought my cousin hadn't fully recovered, so she took him to the hospital for another checkup. After hearing my cousin's description, the doctor just thought Grandma should find a psychologist for him. Grandma scoffed. My good grandson couldn't possibly have a mental illness. The doctor told her to do as she pleased. Grandma was at a loss and afraid of taking responsibility, so she called her eldest uncle and aunt. Uncle said he was too busy and had no time to deal with these matters, telling her to go to the child's mother. Then he asked how my dad was doing. Aunt was traveling out of town, broke her leg, and is now in the hospital with a caregiver. After losing her temper with Grandma, she pressed on and asked how my mom was doing. My grandmother was baffled and, too embarrassed to approach my parents, anxiously turned to me. Lisa, where are your parents? Why aren't they answering my calls? I rambled on about unrelated things and hung up. My dad's company is having problems, and he's now staying there day and night, so busy that he doesn't even have time to reply to my messages. My mom sprained her ankle while buying local specialties on a business trip, but she continued working at the destination and will return once her foot feels better. I compared the situations at my home and my uncle's home. It can only be described as a coincidence. There is no solid evidence. Until the day I checked my college entrance exam results, I had already given up any hope for my scores. My parents had even saved up the tuition for a private college in advance, but then the webpage refreshed. The phrase, 480 points, has dazzled my 18-year-old gold-spending eyes. Oh, ho ho, heaven has opened its eyes and seen me. I thank the heavens, I thank the earth, and I thank myself. As I was dancing with joy, my cousin made a voice call. I instinctively answered it. My cousin roared as if he had lost his mind. Aren't you useless, Lisa? How did you score so well? I snapped awake instantly. No, why does Precious get to insult me? Are you out of your damn mind? You, who usually score over 700, think I did well. Has your brain gone to shit too? Precious was so furious that she started crying. I've already asked the teacher, and you scored 480. You've been a failure for 18 years. how could you suddenly perform so well? Just you wait, I'm not done with you. Ah, I continued to scold. What's so great about a score of 480? You're insane, go ask anyone on the street. Can this score get you into Harvard? You even called me a useless Precious. I won't let this go. Oh. For the first 18 years, I really didn't dare to talk to Precious like this. Now, I even overperformed in the college entrance exam. I'm just terrifyingly strong. As I hung up the phone, I suddenly thought of something extremely important. The maximum score for the college entrance exam is not 960, so what score did Precious actually get on the college entrance exam? It is said that before the results came out, Grandpa, surrounded by a crowd of villagers, was boasting loudly, over 700 points, not just in our village for generations, but even in the city. There are only a few who achieve that. From now on, my precious grandson will surely be the pride of the entire city. By then, the village chief will have to create a separate family tree just for my grandson. Someone asked about my parents and me. Zane, well, he's just the same. They say he's one of the company's founders, but he still earns a wage like a workhorse. My eldest son can make twice as much with a single move in the stock market, compared to his hard-earned income. As for the daughter, she's not too bright either. Her scores are only good enough for a vocational college. It's embarrassing. Grandma, among the aunts and relatives, held her head high and puffed out her chest, flaunting the prestige of the soon-to-be top scholar's grandmother. My eldest son and daughter-in-law are busy with important matters. They were too occupied to come. This eldest grandson was raised entirely by me. His parents didn't have a hand in it, and he still scored over 700. He's had this score in all 3 mock exams. Precious is definitely going to be the first from our village to get into Harvard. At the entrance of the village committee, the village chief and the respected elders were eagerly hoping that the top scholar would come from their own village. Other candidates from the same year in the village usually did not score as high as Precious, who had over 700 points in front of him. They inexplicably felt inferior. Precious exuded an aura of dominance between his brows. A fellow villager couldn't help but ask the top student, "How did you do it?" "Just play as much as you want, relax, and the answers will automatically pop into your head when you're in the exam hall. I don't really use my brain. I'm just a messenger for the standard answers. Can't help it. Who told me I'm just an ordinary little genius with over 700 points? Anyway, just do whatever makes people uncomfortable." The college graduate village official also set up a fairly large outdoor display screen. It was guaranteed that, at the right time, the computer screen would be projected so that the entire village could see it immediately. About half an hour before the scores were released, a group of people arrived at the village entrance. Fiercely, they asked everyone they met, "Where is Grandpa?" The bewildered villagers pointed them in the right direction. This group of people strode with an arrogant swagger to the village committee, shouting menacingly, "James, do you think hiding means you don't have to pay back the money? Get the hell out here right now." The grandpa, who was bragging, trembled 3 times and nearly choked on his own saliva. The grandma, who was showing off, was so frightened that she fell flat on her back, crying out in pain. Upon hearing this, the villagers automatically scattered. The grandpa coughed until his face turned red, his whole body shaking like a leaf. Grandma cried out in pain, pleading for someone to help her up. The leader of the group of debt collectors was stunned for a moment, looking around at all the men, women, and elders of the village gathered together. Were the elderly beaten by the whole village? That's too brutal. The village committee member asked, "What are you looking for James for?" "Nothing much. Just to get him to pay back the money. He tricked our boss into investing in the stock market, saying it was a sure win if he followed his lead. At first, it made a profit, but then it plummeted like a waterfall." The college graduate village official stood up and said, "Isn't this just a normal investment loss?" "Bullshit. The principal James used for stock trading was borrowed from our boss, and there are dozens of other creditors, totaling over 24 million yuan. Where has he gone? I can't find him. So can't I go to his parents, or even his own son?" "His son is easy to recognize. He's the one who had a public accident during the college entrance exam." The grandparents immediately felt ashamed. The cousin was instantly mortified. People around cast looks of disdain and disgust. A candidate who had just been completely outperformed by his cousin. He then slipped over to the computer, opened the query system, and entered the information. The college entrance exam scores are out. Precious scored 240. The last exclamation was earth-shattering. Everyone saw the screen, including the debt collectors. The leader murmured, "Precious, can something useless be precious?" "No. Precious is James' biological son. the one who had diarrhea during the college entrance exam. My cousin's imposing figure really stands out in a crowd. Debt collectors don't even need to chase, just surround them and it's done. My cousin's mountain-like body trembled uncontrollably. His face was a mix of shock and devastation, tears and snot flying out uncontrollably. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Give me the phone. I need to call the teacher. Lisa, you've ruined me. When I shared the good news of my unexpectedly high performance on the college entrance exam in our family group chat of 3, my parents, who hadn't been home for several weeks, said little else but replied solemnly with one sentence, "Lisa, wait for us to come home." When my exhausted parents returned home and sat at the dining table, they finally told me the truth. My father was criticized at the company because the supplier he signed with ran off with the money. My mom wasn't going on a business trip to another city, she was going to help my dad collect a debt. My dad looked dejected, his hair disheveled. The company's stance is to recover the funds as soon as possible, or else dad will lose his job. My mom's face was pale, and she sniffled. It's just as well that you lost your job. Your dad's company hasn't paid salaries for half a year, and the lower-level employees have protested several times. Mom's workplace has actually been cutting benefits too, leaving only a base salary of $2,000 or $3,000. After what happened to your dad, I applied for a leave of absence without pay. There were many questions I wanted to ask, but in the end, I only managed to ask weakly, "Mom, how did you sprain your ankle?" Mom heard that someone saw the supplier in the neighboring city. She drove to chase after the supplier and accidentally sprained her ankle, but she's fine now. My dad turned his head and said excitedly, "Why were you so impulsive? If it weren't for the airbag, you would have done more than just sprain your ankle." My mom suddenly burst into tears. "Your company is now being run by treacherous officials. You've worked like an old ox for half a lifetime. How can you let them slander you as conspiring to defraud the company? The lawyer said the evidence is against you. If you really can't find the supplier, you'll have to bear over $10 million in liability." "Over $10 million, I can help you pay it back." "But what about Lisa?" "I didn't want Lisa to know about this, but word from the countryside says your uncle is in trouble. Apparently, he owes over $20 million. My family is in such a state. My grandparents are acting like they've gone mad, demanding that my dad return to the countryside immediately to help resolve my uncle's debt." My dad blurted out everything about the supplier absconding with the funds. Apart from cursing and shouting, my grandparents didn't offer a single word of comfort. My dad and my mom discussed, "If we get divorced, I can drive for Didi, deliver food, or work on construction sites. I'll take care of the debt. Lisa stays with you, keep some money so you can have a normal life." My mom didn't agree. "Are you trying to push yourself to death? If something goes wrong, does it mean we get divorced? What about your parents? What about your older brother? Your older brother owes money. And as soon as the creditors showed up, your parents took out $600,000. We're both our parents' children, so why are you the only one expected to come up with a solution for your older brother?" My father was originally dejected, but upon hearing this, he became excited, "Because they just look down on me. No matter how hard I try to prove myself, they are biased and unwilling to invest their money and emotions in me. I came to the city to work by passing the exams. I had no resources, no connections, and no background. I managed to establish myself in the city entirely on my own. My eldest brother's family came to the city to rent a house, and all the travel expenses were paid by our parents. Later, when our family situation improved and my eldest brother's family also prospered, our parents looked down on me even more. This is my parents. They chose my eldest brother to take care of them in their old age early on, to carry on the family line, while I was the one they gave up on. I especially can't let you and Lisa go to the countryside to plead with my parents on my behalf. I don't want you to feel humiliated for me or suffer in vain." My mother clenched her teeth. "Then find a way to sue the company. I can't let you take the blame, and I won't divorce you either." At a time like this, Precious still sent me a WeChat message. "Lisa, don't think you're so great just because you performed exceptionally well on the college entrance exam. Your family is destined to be at the bottom. Tell your dad to hurry up and figure out a way to pay back all the money. Don't let your family's misfortune bring both our families down." I stared at my phone, but my mind was unusually calm. Doesn't what Precious said these times indicate that he also knew about the double effect long ago? My father has to bear over $10 million in payments, and my uncle also owes more than $20 million. I scored 480 points, while Precious only got 240 points. This is the best verification of double fortune and misfortune. Suddenly, there was the sound of glass shattering in the living room. My father, as if in a daze, poured himself a cup of hot water. In a moment of carelessness, the scalding hot water spilled onto the top of his foot. My mother tried to help my father, who was sitting on the floor, can't get up, hands on the ground, accidentally pressed onto broken glass. Finally, my parents sat back to back, like battle-worn warriors knocked down by life, with nothing left to say. Tears streamed down my face. Everyone, stay still, let me handle it, the uncle was quickly found by the police. It's quite bizarre, to say the least. The couple was found because they got into a fight at a hot pot restaurant. The uncle had his feet scalded by the overturned hot pot broth. The aunt slammed her palm and shattered the entire aquarium wall of the hot pot restaurant. The couple screamed in agony on their own, bleeding profusely. Fish all over the floor flapped their tails desperately, struggling to survive. What a scene! You'd think they were filming an action movie here. The unlucky hot pot restaurant owner called the police. At the police station, the uncle's leg was bandaged up like a pig's trotter. The aunt's handbag turned into a bear's paw. Both of them had different bruises on their bodies and faces, yet they continued to argue incessantly. The aunt pointed at the uncle with her bear's paw. You said that by tying it to your brother's family, it would be a sure profit, didn't you? My shop went bankrupt in the past 6 months. I've spent all my money, and my face suddenly looks 20 years older. The worst part is Precious. How did he end up having diarrhea in the college entrance exam hall? How did his score drop to just 240 points? And the debt you owe your son, he's completely ruined. The uncle sat down and slammed the table forcefully. Shut up. All these years, the food you've eaten, the drinks you've had, the things you've used, which of them wasn't thanks to me? With that shabby shop of yours, how much have you really earned? Barely enough to cover your facials. For over a decade, we were doing just fine. Who would have thought Zane would be so useless, ending up with over 10 million in debt in his middle age? It's all his fault. My stocks, my money. I'll settle the score with him once I get out. When Uncle said this, our family was right outside the mediation room. My mom took the initiative as soon as she entered. What do you mean it was Zane's fault? The uncle and aunt, disheveled and bruised, looked both startled and embarrassed. They averted their eyes, not daring to look directly at my mother. My mother rolled up her sleeves. Let's get this straight today. How can you possibly blame Zane for the money you lost in the stock market? Uncle was left in an awkward position and could only force a grin at my dad. Can you control her? My dad remained calm and composed. My wife can say whatever she wants. I'm also curious. How have I wronged you? Big brother, how could Uncle have the nerve to say that he had triggered some kind of double effect? Aunt pointed at me and lashed out. It's all because of the daughter you gave birth to. Her fate clashes with Precious's. If she does well in exams, Precious will suffer. Poor Precious is capable of getting into Harvard. My dad immediately walked up to my aunt. My daughter has been weak and sickly since birth. Did she bring bad luck to your Precious, who is strong and healthy, or to your thriving family business? My mother retorted sharply. I thought it was Precious who suppressed Lisa's 18 years of good luck, all thanks to Lisa's hard work later on. Evil cannot prevail over good, which is how she managed to turn the tables and surpass her sister-in-law. If you want to settle accounts, then I want to settle accounts too. How are you going to compensate for the 18 years of good luck that Precious suppressed for Lisa? The aunt was left speechless by this reverse logic. Just one sentence came out. If I gave birth to a boy, he should be protected by heaven. My mother sneered. You should have the awareness of being inferior. Why open a clothing store in the city? Wouldn't it be better to go home and serve your precious son as a housekeeper? Uncle actually nodded and shook his head in agreement. Everyone says a woman shouldn't run a store and show her face in public. It's not like I can't support you. If you go home and watch over Precious, he wouldn't have done so poorly on his exams. The aunt went forward to tear at the uncle again. Pa, you're deliberately treating me like a slave. Who do you look down on? I'll fight you to the death. They started fighting again. My mother shook her head repeatedly. Look, even those with low cognition don't want to be inferior, so why cling to this nonsense of male superiority and female inferiority? My dad grabbed my mom. From now on, let's not have any more contact between our two families. My parents probably just think my uncle's family is unreasonable and shifting the blame. I've finally figured it out. My uncle's family has been deliberately tying themselves to our family for over a decade. My uncle's family are nothing but freeloaders. As our family prospers, they also benefit from the double effect, enjoying unearned advantages. Our family is down on our luck, so their family should suffer twice as much. Sure enough, the next moment, the police informed us that not only did uncle and aunt provoke trouble, but they are also suspected of fundraising fraud under the guise of stock trading. With the Amount involved shockingly reaching over a dozen small targets. Even if uncle and aunt hadn't fought and ended up at the police station, they would still be waiting to be locked up in a small dark room. Lisa, just as we stepped out of the police station, I saw my classmate Lucy leaning out of a car. Are you back from your trip? Lucy hopped out of the car and warmly took my hand. Lisa, my dear, you're such a treasure. Thanks to you constantly guiding me through practice questions and mock exams. Before the test, I made it to the undergraduate admission line. I almost forgot, both Lucy and I are in the same study group. All the students in the group have pretty poor grades, and as the college entrance exam approaches, everyone is getting more and more restless. Many people end up unable to study anymore. Only Lucy and I, since we were bored anyway, teamed up to predict and practice exam questions before the test. As it turned out, we actually predicted several subjects correctly in this college entrance exam. Who says last-minute cramming is useless? What a divine experience it is to encounter questions I know on the college entrance exam paper. My parents watched with amusement as Lucy and I chattered away like little sparrows. If it weren't for our commitments, Lisa should have gone on the graduation trip too. Once the results are out, it'll be time to fill out the college applications. I never expected Lisa to score so well. A man with slick back hair and a black suit waved at us enthusiastically. That's Lucy's father, Hank Lincoln. He has the same thick eyebrows and big eyes as Lucy. Hello, sir and madam, where are you headed? Let me give you a ride. My dad coughed. I'm Zane, and this is my wife, Helen. Hank smiled brightly. Oh, no worries. I heard Lisa and Lucy are good friends. Let me walk you out. Our car hasn't been repaired yet after the accident in the neighboring city. Hank was hard to refuse. Our family ended up taking a ride in the Lincoln family's car. Hank flashed his big white teeth and didn't stop smiling once he got in the car. I often hear Lucy say that Lisa tutors her. I'm not smart, and Lucy doesn't have good grades either. I had already planned to send my daughter to an expensive private university and then have her come back to work in the family business. I never expected that she would actually score above the undergraduate admission line in the college entrance exam, even if it was just barely. I'm over the moon. My parents looked at me with a mix of emotions, as if to say, one underachiever teaching another, one dares to teach, and the other dares to learn. Lucy chimed in as well. Yeah, it was during the last exam when he took off his pants. He was shameless. I'm so fed up. That subject was the one I was most confident in. Hank retracted his big white teeth. Don't worry, my dear daughter, your dad won't let him off the hook. That scumbag's deadbeat dad, running a fundraising scam, cheated my boss out of his money. I guarantee he won't get out once he's in. The air in the car grew tense. What a small world. The creditor who came to the village to press uncle for repayment turned out to be Hank. Lucy in the passenger seat spoke up again. Dad, Precious is such a jerk. He even bullied Lisa. Back in elementary school, he would gather a bunch of boys after class to make up songs mocking Lisa, calling her useless, jerk. Lisa isn't stupid at all. The reason she struggled so much with school back then was because Precious kept putting her down. Bastard. Precious even bullies his own cousin. Serves him right for only scoring 240 points. Serves him right, cousin. Mr. Zane, is your family name James? The three of us in the back seat buried our heads, searching for a crack in the car. Lucy took me to a welfare home. She handed the report card to an elderly man with white hair. Boss, Lucy here. I made it to the undergraduate cutoff score. The old man was stunned and remained silent for a while. Picking up the phone, he examined it carefully, and finally, a relieved smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. Good, good. Little Lucy is indeed even wilder than Hank. But after chatting for just a few sentences, he started coughing again. The caregiver helped the elderly man back to his room to rest. Among the victims defrauded by my uncle in the name of stock trading was the former director of this welfare institution. My father was an orphan and was quite a troublemaker when he was young. The old director said, since you're so fond of hanging out with the wrong crowd, why not just call me boss? The old director had very little savings his entire life. He trusted someone's investment pitch, hoping to earn money to support the welfare institution, but ended up losing everything. At that time, Lucy and I were sitting on the swings in the small playground of the orphanage. I felt quite conflicted upon hearing it. Lucy's father and the old director had no blood relation, yet he was willing to bring people to the director's doorstep to demand an explanation. My father and uncle were both the children of my grandparents, yet my grandparents showed endless favoritism toward my uncle's family. Uncle's family is also greedy. Because of the double effect, they can get twice the wealth of our family without any effort, but uncle still feels it's not enough and wants more. In his early years, Uncle was approached by a financial company and packaged as a stock trading master. Because he boasted in a stock trading group that he made money on everything he bought. Living in cheat mode for too long, one really forgets their own worth. The uncle was portrayed as a master, and he actually started to believe it, started teaching classes, also opened a self-media account. Now, uncle and aunt are in the detention room, although it's due to the double effect. Isn't it still their own doing? Lucy stood up from the swing and said joyfully, "My dad helped your dad find that missing supplier." Lucy's dad, Hank, is actually a very righteous and warm-hearted person. He owns a security company. The company also takes on missing persons cases as part of its daily operations. Because I helped Lucy get into college, Hank not only didn't hold a grudge against my family but also put aside past grievances to help my dad find that missing supplier. The supplier didn't run off with the money. Instead, he went to rescue a drowning child and was swept downstream to a remote mountain village. Lucy excitedly held up her phone, showing us the photos her dad had sent. In the photos, Hank and my dad were gathered around the supplier, who looked like Tarzan. The supplier has a full beard and his hair is all matted, looking quite miserable. That place doesn't even have a signal, and the villagers speak their own dialect. They're self-sufficient and can go years without leaving the mountains. Luckily, my dad knows a few adventure bloggers, but I doubt they could even make it into those mountains. Lisa, now that we've found the supplier, does that mean your dad has a better chance of winning the lawsuit? I nodded excitedly and haphazardly. Just as I was about to message my dad, I saw a message from my grandma. "Lisa, go tell your parents right away that you won't be going to college this year and will be retaking the exams. You're still young and have great potential. You only scored 480 this year, but if you retake the exams next year, you might do even better. There are plenty of people who, after repeating a year, perform worse than they did the previous year." Grandma still wants to use me as a stepping stone for Precious. Faced with these two messages, I suddenly realized that as long as the double effect isn't lifted for a day, even if my father wins the lawsuit, my uncle's family will remain unscathed and continue to live their unearned, carefree lives as before. A plan began to form in my mind. My hands were quickly typing out rebellious words. "I won't. You look down on us. But you always want to take advantage of us. We will never let you control us again." After sending the message, I blocked my grandparents and my cousin. Just as I expected, a few days later, I heard that my dad had returned, and sure enough, my grandparents brought Precious to our house to cause a scene. "You have to give me an answer today. Are you going to save your brother or not?" Grandma yelled, shaking her head. My dad explained wearily, "Mom, I still have a lawsuit involving over 10 million that hasn't been settled yet, a scam worth billions, and my brother dared to get involved. How can I possibly save him?" Grandpa pushed my cousin into the spotlight again. "He's your nephew. After all, you have to take responsibility, right?" My cousin looked like a humiliated prisoner of war, not even daring to look my father in the eye. My father waved his hand dismissively. "Is repeating a grade really that difficult, Grandpa? Don't you know what happened to Precious during the exam? Which local school wouldn't bully her? Can't you help find a school in another city?" My dad seemed to hear something amusing. With his build, is he afraid of being bullied? How could he forget the time he organized the boys to bully Lisa when he was a kid? "Aren't you afraid I'll bully him first?" My cousin suddenly looked up and glared angrily at my dad. "You're my uncle, you have to take care of me. If nothing else, I can carry on the family line for you. Isn't that enough?" My dad really does laugh when he's at a loss for words. "You've spent too much time with Grandma and Grandpa. Your brain is stuck in the Qing dynasty. I have Lisa. What do I need you for? Lisa is my daughter, and she's not a top student. Mom and Dad, you don't like her, but I can't change your minds. But Lisa has never let me down. She made me proud with her college entrance exam results, and this time, the turning point in the lawsuit was thanks to her connections, which helped me find the key witness." Hearing this, Grandma and Grandpa rolled their eyes indifferently. My dad continued to scold. "What about you, Precious? When your parents had an accident, what did you do besides hiding at your grandparents' house? With such low scores on the college entrance exam, couldn't you even manage to retake it and do better?" My cousin suddenly stood up, clenching his fists. His figure instantly overshadowed my father. My father no longer cared. "Go ahead, I guarantee you'll get to see your parents." My cousin didn't dare anymore, because of the double effect. If my dad gets hurt, my uncle will only get hurt even worse. Precious has no money, no parents, and doesn't need to get herself involved. Instead, my grandparents just sat there, not speaking or stopping him, their eyes gleaming with eager excitement. They seemed eager to see Precious beat up my dad, as if to vent their anger for them. My dad directly kicked the guests out. Everyone, get out of here, as she left. Precious had a look of reckless and ignorant hatred in her eyes. It's really infuriating. As an academic underachiever, he has enjoyed over a decade of the glory of being a top student and reaped all the benefits. What on earth does he have to hate? That's right, those who enjoy eating lamb skewers would never consider how the lamb skewer feels. This time, I will use Precious to regain the upper hand. I sent him a WeChat message. Precious, look who's at the bottom now. Precious was furiously sending voice messages, roaring in anger. Lisa, I'm going to kill you. I continued to provoke him. Do you think no one knows what your parents are tied to? If my dad gets into legal trouble, your dad will go to jail. I got into a university, and you can't even afford the worst vocational college. You still dare to offend me. I'm going to drink weight loss pills later. Just wait to see yourself trending again. After hanging up the phone, I drank a full cup of weight loss tea. The effect was immediate. At the same time, a pig slaughter-like scream was heard in the residential area. Ah, help, get out of the way. Then, exclamations of shock rose one after another. There's a pervert taking off his pants. This damn lunatic is spewing nonsense. Disgusting. Call the police. Precious is trending again. When being carried away by the ambulance, they were still lying on the stretcher, spewing nonsense incessantly. The air at the scene was once nauseating. Grandma and Grandpa ran faster than anyone else. It turned out they were very wise. As soon as the hot search broke out, the victims who had been scammed by the uncle went to the hospital and blocked Precious again. Precious begged for mercy while crying. The victim showed him no pity. In just a few moments, he was made to, voluntarily, return tens of thousands of dollars. That money was the last sum his aunt had left for him. Now, he has no money and has no choice but to return to the countryside to find his grandparents. There are also victims in the same village who were deceived by his uncle. These people come to the door every day, and even his grandparents can no longer stay, so, his grandparents locked the door and left early. This doesn't stump Precious either. Just pry the door open, go inside, and fall fast asleep. The next day, Precious woke up naturally. After playing a round of Honor of Kings, the phone immediately alerted that the battery was low. Precious plugged in the charger but found it wasn't working. Wanting to wash my face with water, not a single drop came out. I thought about calling for help, but then suddenly remembered that I need to avoid the villagers now. He also discovered that the fuse at his grandparents' house had been cut, and the water valve had been shut off. The stored food in the cellar had also been taken away, leaving only a few sweet potatoes. In the surveillance footage, Precious was furious. Damn it, isn't it just a little money I owe you? Is it really necessary to be so nasty? Of course it is. When we were kids, Precious used to like having people surround me. The boys are all taller than me, making me seem very short. They jump and sing, calling me a useless little thing. Verbal bullying is like knives, guns, and clubs, stripping away all my dignity and confidence with every word. This time, I'm going to trap Precious and see how many days he can hide in this empty yard. The next few days, Precious didn't dare to cook during the day. Afraid of making noise and alerting the neighbors, he could only boil water at night and eat the sweet potatoes stored in the cellar. But how could I be willing to let him hide so comfortably? The next day, a self-media blogger holding a phone and live streaming appeared on the wall of the small courtyard. Hello everyone. This farmhouse is the home of the locally famous Diarrhea Boy. I've heard that this family has a very bad reputation. The grandparents favor boys over girls, and the parents are suspected of fraud. As for the incident where Diarrhea Boy publicly released a biochemical weapon in the college entrance examination hall, is it a personal quirk or an act of revenge against society? The camera panned and just happened to capture Precious emerging from the cellar. The streamer, reminded by the bullet comments, immediately let out a piercing scream. It's the Diarrhea Boy. He's actually hiding at home. A single stone raises 1,000 waves. Hearing that there was still someone inside the house, the villagers quickly surrounded the small courtyard, layer upon layer. Inside the remote-controlled car by the street, Lucy and I were watching the live stream together, where Precious was chasing people all over the yard with a big broom. He probably hadn't taken a shower for several days. He looked completely disheveled and covered in dust. Tears had carved 2 pale streaks down his face. All of you, get out. I have no money. The villagers were all talking at once. Precious, how could your family possibly have no money? Precious, we've all watched you grow up. How can you refuse to pay your debts? I know your grandparents all too well. You're their pride and joy. The money is definitely meant for you. it was the college graduate village official who came with the village cadres to persuade the villagers who had gathered to demand repayment, along with that self-media blogger who was there for the spectacle. Before leaving, the college graduate village official also advised Precious, the fraud case involving your family is a settled matter. Hurry up and tell your grandparents to stop hiding. What can you alone in the village possibly accomplish? Precious must be absolutely furious with his grandparents right now. They always claimed to care so much about him, but at the critical moment, they abandoned him and ran away, leaving him to face the scorn and anger of the entire village alone. But how could he have known? Actually, I had given Grandpa and Grandma the fake news that Precious was going out of town, sending them away early. I went to great lengths, just to leave him with nothing and completely isolated. People like Precious make mistakes. He would never reflect on himself and would instead shift all the blame onto others. He takes it for granted that his family's misfortune must be due to the double effect caused by my family's influence. In today's farce, the more afraid Precious feels deep down, the more he wants to beg someone to quickly undo the double effect. In the dead of night, Precious indeed took advantage of the darkness to escape. Lucy's bodyguards followed her all the way. Precious fled deep into a remote, wild forest, and the bodyguards, afraid of being discovered, did not follow her in. They only heard Precious chanting something about a great immortal, unbinding, and why her parents couldn't be released. Among other things, in the quiet forest, only Precious's voice could be heard, as if bargaining with someone. It wasn't until dawn that Precious left the forest with a sorrowful expression. The bodyguard continued to follow Precious. Lucy and I entered the forest. Indiana. The woods. There was an old earthen temple built with adobe, used to worship local land and mountain deities. The mud-made roof was kicked away by Precious, revealing a thin, palm-sized black card. Just as I reached out to touch it, I suddenly heard a very mechanical electronic voice. Humph, greedy humans. My eyes suddenly widened. Lucy was startled by my expression. Lisa, what's wrong? I asked. Did you hear someone talking? Lucy shook her head, tugging at my sleeve with a hint of fear. Lisa, what did you hear? I'm scared. The electronic voice spoke again. Not every human's brainwaves can connect to my signal. You are very fortunate. Speak. What do you wish to exchange with me for these cheap offerings? I took a few deep breaths and gave Lucy a firm look, signaling her not to be afraid. Are you a deity or a monster? The electronic voice paused for a moment. From the first human who found me, you all have called me the Great Immortal. I frowned. So what exactly are you? The electronic voice replied. In the language of the current era, I am an intelligent system created by another, higher-level civilization. I was too shocked to speak. Oh my God, this world really does have a system. The system explained its origin to me a long time ago, during an interstellar trip. It was dropped on Earth by its user. Over the long years, it passed through the hands of many humans. However, not all humans could communicate with it via brainwaves. Even when communication was possible, ancient humans were far less advanced than the civilization that created the system. Thus, they regarded the small black card containing the system as a deity, repeatedly embedding it into various forms of divine statues made of clay, wood, gold, and other materials. Until the last 100 years, the temple where the little black card resided was destroyed in the war. It's unclear which faithful person mixed it back into the mud and built that inconspicuous little shrine in the woods. I asked directly. Did you help my family bind some kind of double system? The system replied directly. Yes. I asked, why did you do this? Many years ago, an elderly couple came before me and worshipped devoutly. Their younger son had a successful career and a happy family, so they wished for their elder son's family to replicate twice the achievements of the younger son's family, ensuring that their only grandson would also have a bright future. I was baffled. You asked, and you agreed. The system replied as if it had accomplished a small task. Agreed, because it's just a simple double effect function. My only condition is that they help me build a larger temple, so more humans can come to worship. I was momentarily speechless. I don't know whether to say the system is naive or my grandparents are too cunning. With such an effective, great immortal at their disposal, how could they not monopolize it and feel at ease sharing it with others? But I forgot that the system can read my brainwaves. Some things don't even need to be said out loud, the system said coldly. Of course, I know about human greed. The so-called double effect inherently has a bug. Human circumstances are influenced by too many variables, like your father, who worked hard in the first half of his life and achieved success in middle age, yet still fell victim to someone's schemes. Your mother's prestigious and well-off workplace, encountering the limitations of the era's development, has seen its benefits reduced. Moreover, you were an underachiever. yet through persistence, continuously practicing and predicting exam questions, you performed exceptionally well in the college entrance exam, using the ancient saying of this land, share blessings together, then one must also share hardships together, I whispered, but this isn't fair, all outcomes, whether fortune or misfortune, shouldn't come without reason, my family's achievements were created and managed by my parents. My uncle's family just got it for free, as if it fell from the sky, even when facing difficulties, my parents work together and find ways to overcome them. If, this time, my father wins the lawsuit, my family will safely get through this crisis. Because of the double effect, will my uncle also be acquitted and continue to receive double the wealth from my family? The system did not reply. I pressed further. Doesn't uncle owe an explanation to the victims he defrauded? The system still did not respond. My voice trembled slightly, but I persisted. There is no absolute fairness in the world, but there should be no rigid application of the principle, share blessings and hardships together. My father will definitely win the lawsuit because he was framed and set up, and he can prove his innocence. My uncle's fraud is a fact, and no one has the right to relieve him of the punishment on behalf of the victims, just like how my uncle's family gained benefits unjustly. It was driven by greed from the very beginning, and it was wrong. The system, which had been silent all along, suddenly spoke. So, you set up your cousin to find me, hoping I would undo the request your grandparents made back then. Realizing the system could detect my final thoughts, I said without hesitation, correct, you are merely a system running with vulnerabilities. Even a deity cannot casually alter an ordinary person's life. The system remained silent for a very, very long time. It had been so long that sorrow grew in my heart. Lucy had been by my side all along, watching me talk to myself with concern. Only when both the system and I fell silent did she place her hand on my shoulder. I could no longer hold back, and tears began to fall uncontrollably. At that moment, the system let out a sigh that resembled a human expression of emotion. I do indeed have a flaw, because I cannot distinguish between good and evil in human morality. What I can discern is only the depth of the wishmaker's obsession with their desire. Your grandparents had a very deep level of obsession when they made their wish back then, so, even though their wish had logical flaws, I still fulfilled the double effect for my own purpose. This time, the depth of the wish obsession you want to resolve is far greater than theirs, so I can grant your wish. Removing the double effect didn't bring any special sensation, it was just a fleeting moment, and the forest continued with its wind and birdsong. When the system said it was removed, I couldn't help but ask a question. You said you fulfilled your grandparents' wishes for your own purpose. What exactly is your purpose? The system explained. My only condition was that they help me build a larger temple, so more humans could come to worship. This way, I can understand the development of the outside world through human brainwaves and connect with more humans whose brainwaves resonate with mine. As long as I find, among these like-minded humans, those who yearn for a higher civilization and form alliances with them, I have hope of making contact with the creator civilization. I've been away from home for a long time. I want to go back. I'm confused, but all these years, my grandparents never kept their promise. Why do you still maintain the double effect? The system finally said. Before your grandparents arrived, it had been nearly a century since I last communicated with a human whose brainwaves were in sync with mine. They are the only hope I can cling to, but now, I no longer want to place my hopes on any human being. It's time for me to shut down and go into hibernation. I returned to the city with the little black card in my pocket. I never heard the system say another word to me again. It has accumulated enough disappointment throughout its long history of coexistence with humanity. Falling into dormancy might be a good thing. It wouldn't be too late to wake up again one day, when human civilization truly develops to the same level as the advanced civilization that created it. My father won the lawsuit without even having to fight it. The supplier returned to the city and immediately reported my father's company, exposed the executive who framed my father for taking kickbacks. My father directly submitted his resignation and then went to the tax department. The CEO of my father's company personally called my father. It means always leave a way out, so you can meet again in the future, my dad said. Whether you want to be cheap or not, you're cheap anyway. When your brother-in-law framed me for over 10 million in debt and tried to send me to jail, where were you then? After hanging up, he pulled out the SIM card. Not long after, my dad's former company fell apart due to various negative news and the management shifting blame onto each other. My family seems to have turned misfortune into blessing, but there is still one trouble that hasn't been resolved. When my grandparents found out that my father's lawsuit was settled, they came to our house to cause trouble again. This time, Precious didn't dare to come along. He's a celebrity now. Wherever he goes, people hold up their phones to film him, mocking him as the diarrhea boy. You must get the money for me, so Precious can go to school. My father lowered his head to smoke, then casually stubbed out the cigarette. He just looked up, saying nothing, staring at his grandparents. Grandma was stared at until she felt uncomfortable and didn't dare to speak. Grandpa finally found his voice at this moment. If you're having difficulties, you can take less. My dad directly held out his hand and asked Grandpa for it. Dad, I have no money, but you must support my family. Of course, a little less is also acceptable. Grandpa's face turned livid. Are you useless? How dare you say such a thing? My dad nodded. I am useless. My whole family is useless. Otherwise, how dare Precious ask me for money? Why can't I ask you for money? Then came the sound of things being smashed to pieces. My mom and I came out of the kitchen. We saw Grandpa stomping down the stairs angrily, while Grandma was still standing with her hands on her hips, yelling, I thought you had a bright future back then, but I never expected you to turn out so useless. If I had known, I wouldn't have bound myself to you. Grandma's gaze swept over me as well. It's all because of you, you jinx. The fortune teller was right. Why must there be a if there is already a b? My dad slammed the door shut. The reason my grandparents came to make a scene is that the double effect was indeed unbound. My uncle and aunt were sentenced to several years in prison and even got divorced while serving their sentences. My uncle's family can no longer obtain double the wealth of my family out of thin air. Afterward, my father made two decisions. First, sell the house and move the whole family to the city where I attend university. Second, cut ties with relatives. Everyone deeply yearns to be treated with sincerity. Yet sincerity is truly rare and precious. Since it cannot be obtained, there's no use in clinging to it persistently. During my freshman year of college, Precious was sent back to repeat high school. Because of the test questions, Precious couldn't answer any of them. The teachers couldn't believe it. How could a top student who had scored over 700 multiple times be so useless? So they gradually reduced the difficulty for him, starting from senior year exam questions down to sophomore and freshman year, and finally even gave him the third grade elementary school questions meant for the teacher's son. He couldn't solve a single one. The teachers were all stunned. It was suggested that his grandparents take him to the hospital for an IQ test. The grandparents finally agreed and took him for the test, and the result was a slightly below average IQ score. Fortunately, he is not intellectually disabled, but he only knows how to idle away and wait for death, with a huge physique and often prone to helpless rage. What's the difference between this and a giant baby? The celestial being has untied the bond. But why haven't my parents come out? Will my family never be rich again? Am I no longer a top student? Precious is useless, but he's not stupid. He gradually understood how he was different from ordinary people, but he no longer had 18 years to relearn how to be an ordinary person. When his grandparents couldn't scrape together any more money and subtly hinted that Precious could go out to work, Precious lost it. He was holding a large broom, chasing his grandparents around the yard and beating them as if they were his enemies. I don't care, you have to support me. If there's no money at home, you all have to go to work for me. I'm not useless. I want to study. Where are the answers? Why aren't they coming to me? A person who has lived in cheat mode since childhood, once leaving the system, how can he navigate through this cruel game of life? Yet it was the grandparents who personally created this useless Precious. The grandparents, over 60 years old, have to join the workforce of elderly re-employment. One works as a security guard, the other as a cleaner. I wonder how much longer these two old diesel engines can keep pulling the heavy truck. Precious and my entire family, after parting ways with my grandparents, started a completely new life in another city. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.